Greetings, imagination connoisseurs. Once again, it is I, your Duke of Dope Discourse, Robert Meyer Burnett. I invite you to watch and listen to the Designing Hollywood podcast, brought to you by Martika Ibarra and the great, legendary Hollywood costume designer, Marilyn Vance. I am afforded the wonderful opportunity of co-hosting the show. If you are interested in the magic of Hollywood, the design of Hollywood, the clothes of Hollywood, watch the Designing Hollywood podcast, available wherever you get your podcasts from, or find the video version on the John Campea YouTube channel. That's right, the Designing Hollywood podcast. Why would you ever want to miss it, especially if you love the movies?
There's a company called Hot Toys, and they make these insanely realistic, renderings of characters. They do them for all the Marvel characters or whatever, and they look so much like you. It's disturbing, actually. Like, scary. They look so much like you, but they're tiny. They're like 18 inches or something like that. They actually that's what's crazy about that company is they hand make the, like, they carve the mold of, thank you, of the.
That's crazy.
It's wild.
Robservations with Robert Meyer Burnett.
Well, greetings, imagination connoisseurs. Once again, it is I, your Duke of Dope Discourse, your master of fun and wonder, your viceroy of verisimilitude, whatever else you want to call me. It's late at night. I don't care. Call me whatever you want. Whisper my name in your dreams. That's up to you. Robert Meyer Burnett, and for all you imagination connoisseurs out there, it's our first Midnight Musings of 2023. But you know what? It's not about me. It's about my lovely co-host. You know where you love her. And here she is. She is. How are you this year? It's a new year. And I don't know. How are things?
Well, Happy New Year to you, Robert, and to everybody in the chat. It's 2023. I can't get over how fast 2022 went. I'm doing great. I'm just so shocked. We're in a new year already.
It's crazy because, boy, 2022 was tumultuous, coming out of a pandemic, the first, new president, all kinds of craziness, war in Ukraine, movies, TV, some good, some bad. It was a crazy year. Stock market, all crazy. Cryptocurrency crashed. All kinds of crazy stuff happening. But it was interesting. Isn't that may you live in interesting times? But I'm optimistic. Are you optimistic about the coming year?
Extremely optimistic. I think that the prospects for entertainment this year have never been better. I'm excited about so many things, and I can't wait to start talking about what's coming up for this year of 2023, Robert.
Well, last night, I don't know why I thought I had, on my app, on my phone, I was in bed because my back was killing me. I thought I rescheduled the show, so I apologize for those people that thought there was a show last night and were waiting patiently. I want to give a shout out to Kaz Graphics, the official cheesemonger of this channel. Kaz Graphics sent in a super chat last night, and I want to thank him for that. And he said he was sending me a package to share with the Campea crew. Kaz, I hope you send it to my new address, not the old Pasadena address. I'm sure we can alleviate that if you did. We'll fix that problem. But I thank you, because whenever I get a package from our official cheesemonger, it's a good one. So there's gonna be a lot of stuff now. I heard something interesting today, and I wanted to share it with you. So, do you know who Andrew Tate is? He's been in the news lately.
I've heard a lot about this gentleman, and he did make the news. And what the reason was, did he get, and I hope I'm not saying the wrong thing, was he arrested?
Yes, and it was all bogus and all craziness, but he's a very polarizing figure. He's the number one G, he's a former kickboxer. It's really interesting because I watch a lot of YouTube, and I learn about all these figures right as they're sort of coming up in prominence, when people know about them. The first adapters, the people that are on the cutting edge of culture, know about them first. I kind of catch them on the wave up, and then right before they peak or whatever. But Andrew Tate, he says a lot of things. People call him a misogynist, a sexist. Some men call him their leader. He's a very smart guy, interesting character. I don't have an opinion on him one way or another because I haven't watched that much about him. But I did watch a video today that I thought was really interesting because it ties into the sort of the theme of this channel. And he was telling the story. He was saying that when he hangs out with incredibly wealthy people, he made the point that when wealthy people get together, like at dinner parties and things, they tell each other stories. And of course, I perked up. I'm like, ah. And he said that it's important. And he put out a call. This is an old video, so I don't know when he did this or something, but he put out a call when he said, listen, I want to hear your story. And he made the point that it's important to know how to, first of all, have a story that's worth telling. That's something that happened to you. And then it's important to know how to tell that story. And that, like, if you're in circles, and I found that also to be very true, because in the course of my own work, I've met celebrities and hung out with them, and I found that by telling engaging stories and being an engaging storyteller, it's a great way to break the ice with people.
Right.
Because you're conveying something about yourself, but at the same time you're being entertaining. It's kind of like always knowing how to tell a joke. It's always good to have at least one great joke in your arsenal that you've told a million times that you can tell really well. It's like having a good karaoke song too. If you have a song that you know the lyrics to, that you can just sing at the drop of a hat. It's always good to have those. They're kind of good for just any social occasion. And I thought that, not that I haven't always made this my sort of deal, but I want to, more than ever, I want to hear from other people. I want other people to tell me stories, not movies or television, but stories about their lives. That's kind of what we're having the short story contest for. And that's kind of, I say it at the end of every show. Every person you meet has a story to tell that you have yet to hear. Do you think that's true?
I do think it's true. And I know from the other day from one of your broadcasts, and we have, let's say, the Burnettwork manifesto about listening to others and fans giving back. And part of that giving back process is for them to share their stories. I think that that process of sharing with others is not only interesting and fun, but I also think there's a cathartic, experience to it, because sometimes when you hold a lot of these experiences inside, you might tend to overthink or rationalize things that have happened to you. Some of these stories aren't the happiest things that happen, but some of them do need to be told. And it's important that I think that we can learn from stories in general, to see what does happen to, another person. It can enrich your life, even if it is a sad story. So there is something that you can gain from it. And, oftentimes you can take what you need from the story. You may not get everything you need from, every part of it may not be something you need, but there might be one or two things that you can take from it, and perhaps it'll improve things for you, or you can pass on some points about it that really can change things. So it can be life-changing.
I totally agree. Yeah, I absolutely agree with you 100%. And I think that, also when you sit down to tell a story, people will listen, as opposed to talking about your political ideology, your religious beliefs, your latest sexual conquest. Although if there's a good story behind a sexual conquest, let's face it, we'll all listen to that story. But no, I think that's true. And I think that it's also a way to share experiences. And I think if someone tells you a story that is either interesting or personal, it immediately does break the ice, and it brings you closer to that person, at least even in a social situation. It's always good to be able to do that, because people perk up. Everybody wants to listen to a good story, but you also have to know how to tell it.
You do have to know how to tell it. And one of the things that I like about this community that we have here on the Burnettwork, the PGS community, is that, you can break the ice right in the chat. You can kind of go in there and make a comment, and oftentimes someone will pick it up and respond to you. This is like something that's very hard to do in person, Robert.
Yeah.
There's no guarantee if you go up to somebody and say, well, I really liked the X-Men from the 90s, that someone's going to go ahead and say, yeah, my favorite one was this one. It's very hard to get that kind of response in person just from a single sentence, reply, so to speak. So I think what's great about this is that we can kind of get a sense of what might be on someone's mind. And we haven't had to go up to them and say, so what are you really thinking about tonight? That feels very invasive. We don't have to do that. They're just putting it in the chat, and we're seeing where their mindset is right now, what's on their mind. I think it's very interesting. I kind of wish that marketers would use this more as a tool to figure out, kind of how to give the fans what they want, because that is kind of an important part going forward, I think, for entertainment success.
I totally agree. 100%. Well, now, that being said, 2023, you said, has a lot of great stuff to look forward to, entertainment-wise. What are some of the things, what are some of the movies you're most looking forward to in 2023?
Well, I think some of the movies that I'm most looking forward to might surprise you a bit. And I wasn't expecting to really care about Cocaine Bear. But, part of the reason why I think it grabbed me was because just maybe the provocative silliness of it. Perhaps I don't know the true story it was based on, and I don't know if anybody really got hurt, but this idea that this bear is going to be infiltrating and doing things that might seem odd or out of the ordinary, it just seems fascinating. And who doesn't like bears? People watch videos of bears on YouTube, and, bears going into people's pools and different things like that. So I think it is kind of mesmerizing, but I am looking forward to Cocaine Bear. I just want to kind of have fun with it. So that's one of them. What about you? Are you interested in Cocaine Bear, Robert?
Oh, yeah. No, it looked hilarious. Like, I know it's based on a true story, but they've taken many liberties with it. It was a jumping off point, but I just, in a way, I kind of feel happy that the bear found cocaine in an age before everything was cut with fentanyl, because, you can't get, there's no good drug dealers left. Everyone's selling horrible. That's why I just don't do drugs anymore. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. No, I don't. I'm kidding. But it looks really funny. I mean, it looks like a great piece of dark satire.
I think it certainly is a great piece of dark satire. It feels very 1980s to me. I don't know if it happened in the 80s, but there's something about it that feels a little retro. I don't know whether, like you said, it would happen now. Another film that I'm looking forward to is Dungeons and Dragons, Robert.
Yeah.
Now, I guess this should not be a surprise to you, but I don't know if it's true, but I have a feeling, is it true that Aquaman 2 is coming out this year?
Yeah, it comes out around Christmas time.
Okay, so I have to wait 360 something days for it, but Robert, I cannot wait for Aquaman 2.
Well, I love the first Aquaman.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was so crazy how James Wan leaned into the high fantasy of it all, and I didn't expect that. So I'm really excited to see Aquaman 2. I honestly, I can't wait. Really looking forward to it. So
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, I'm sure he'll deliver, even more high fantasy. I got to tell you, this is going to seem funny, but Magic Mike's Last Dance comes out next month.
Yes,
I love the Magic Mike movies.
I love them too. The Most Beautiful Woman in the World, at least I think she's the most beautiful woman in the world. Selma Hayek is in it. And
come on.
And it's set in Paris, and it feels like a huge fantasy. Obviously it checks off a lot of marks if you want passion and this sort of fantasy of going over to Europe. At least if you're not from Europe, we have a fantasy of going over to Europe. So for some of us here in the United States, it's a big fantasy. You just fly over there and kind of live it up and enjoy yourself. But hearing Selma Hayek talk about going over there and how a woman is not a woman, she has to choose. And I'm like, I love you so much. She's so sensual and beautiful. And, you know, this is why he's dancing, is to please her. It's a beautiful sense of communication that we see on the screen. It's the best trailer from last year I've ever seen. Um, it was beautiful. I mean, I thought it was beautiful. I thought that it had a lot of things that would appeal to anyone in it. Who doesn't like that kind of romance? They grab you right away, telling you this is going to be the experience of your life. I mean, who doesn't want to see that film?
You know, and it comes out next month along with Quantum Mania, which Peyton Reed has said is an Avengers level movie. I suspect, I don't know if this is true, but and probably isn't, but if I were Kevin Feige and I was a betting man, I would introduce the Fantastic Four in Quantum Mania. Like Ant-Man finds them locked away in a thing and they've been there since the 60s or something. Now, I don't know if that's probably not true, but I believe it. I believe that the Fantastic Four are going to be introduced. The two movies I'm most looking forward to this year, though, actually, there's probably three, but that I'm most looking forward to. Two of them are historical epics. One is Oppenheimer.
Yes.
Oppenheimer, which is Christopher Nolan's new movie. And then Ridley Scott has made a movie. It was called Kit Bag when it was shooting. I don't know if it's still called Kit Bag, but it's his Napoleon movie.
Yes.
I'm looking, because whenever Ridley Scott, well, most of the time, when Ridley Scott delves into history, whether it's Gladiator or Kingdom of Heaven, or sometimes, you know, Robin Hood was okay, but whenever he goes historical, I've liked his movies quite a bit. I really liked The Last Duel a lot. I thought that was a very underrated film. So Ridley Scott going into history, I dig. And Dune 2. I can't wait for Dune 2.
Yeah, Dune Part 2 is going to be spectacular. And of course, we've kind of been waiting for this film because we never really got the film. You know, I guess maybe they were going to make another one. David Lynch might have made another one, or it never got made. So this is like a dream come true to see something like this. You know,
incredible.
It really is. And I enjoyed every minute of seeing it. I saw it in the theater. I think the next film would need to be seen in the theater again. The floating sand in the air, you know, it was intoxicating.
It's incredible. By the way, Darth Plato says, hi, Robin. He's our resident historian, is looking forward to Napoleon as well.
Absolutely. Darth Plato and I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, and Kevin Morales says he saw Megan last night and it was a great sci-fi thriller. Everyone's loving that movie. I can't wait to see it.
Yeah, it's so, and you know what's so interesting? And I'm not saying the marketing on Megan was bad. I'm not saying that. But it was not easy to necessarily interpret it as a film that feels like a sci-fi film.
Right.
I'm not quite sure what I thought it was like. And people kind of compared it to Chucky. I said, is it really? Because she's an AI, isn't she, Robert?
Yeah, something like that. And that there's also it's a satire of parenting and merchandising and all kinds of things. So to me, I'm pretty excited about seeing it. Maybe I'll go see it tomorrow. But there's a lot of so I was surprised. It made $27 million this weekend.
Wow.
So for a movie like, you know what? Horror, like John Campea, we were talking about how much we thought it would make. John said he thought it'd make 19, and I said, no. It's going to make more than that, because one of the things that no one thinks about horror movies, the female audience. Yes. You can never underestimate the female audience of horror, because they're a big component of the audience. And a movie like Megan has a lot of female appeal. So it brings in addition to the horror fans, it's going to bring in an additional female component to the audience, which is always welcome. So 27 million wasn't surprising to me at all.
Yeah, it is very interesting. Robert, the story starts off with a woman who, I don't know whether she is a single mother in the story?
She has to take custody of her niece whose parents die, or something like that.
And so, you know, right away, that's interesting to me, because that does happen to a lot. That's actually happened to some friends of mine. And, you know, here she is, a single mother, all of a sudden. She needs help. And it seems like she's a beautiful AI is going to help her with this. And, it's a very interesting, compelling story. Could this be a possibility? I haven't seen anything as unusual as this since what was the story with I can't remember the kid, but he was a robot, and I think the parents had purchased him.
Oh, was it the one that came out a couple years ago with David Duchovny?
No, is it artificial? Is it AI? It
Oh,
was
AI.
called
Yeah, that Stanley Kubrick directed, that he developed and then Spielberg directed.
I
Yeah.
mean, it had that sense of it, and I thought this reminds me of AI. I didn't really even equate it with it being a horror film in a sense initially, because I thought maybe there was it was going to be a heart, jerking story the way AI was.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's more of a horror satire. And people said, like Chris Stuckman gave a great review of it and talked about it being quite funny as well. So
Hmm.
I like that. But then there's a lot of like John Wick Chapter 4 comes out in March. I can't wait to see that, along
Yes.
with Dungeons and Dragons. And
Yes.
did you see the trailer for Evil Dead Rise this week?
No, I didn't. No.
It looks great. I can't wait to see that. It looks like they really nailed the flavor of the original Evil Dead, which is cool.
Oh, wow.
And then, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, the new Indiana Jones movie, the new Mission Impossible movie, all the Marvel movies, the DC movies. So there's lots of cool stuff coming out. So I'm excited.
Well, Robert, there's another movie that you did not mention, and I'm not surprised you didn't mention it, but I'm interested in it, and it's the Barbie movie.
Oh, I want to see. I can't imagine what that movie is going to be like, and I totally want to see it.
Yeah, it looks fascinating. It's Margot Robbie, correct?
Yeah, and
Yeah.
yeah, Noah Baumbach, his wife. Why do I always forget her name? Directed it. What? Barbie. But why am I drawing a blank on her name? I know her name, and I'm forgetting what that is right now. But yes, the Barbie movie does look good to me.
And obviously I can't, with Star Wars, we have this the animated series The Bad Batch, which started last week, or actually this week, was the premiere, first 2 episodes, which were fantastic. Along with The Mandalorian season 3, Robert.
Can't wait for that too. I hope it's great.
And I think the Ahsoka series is coming, but the other series that I'm super excited about, Robert, is a series called The Last of Us. Are you familiar
Yeah,
with
that
that?
starts next week, based on the
Yeah.
video game. Yeah, as a matter of fact, Taylor Gonzalez, who I work with at the John Campy show, is going to a theatrical premiere of that on Monday night.
Wow.
So the show looks incredible.
Yeah.
It looks incredible.
I'm so excited for it. I played the game.
Greta Gerwig, Roberto's, thank you for that. Greta Gerwig directed the Barbie movie.
And yeah, the Barbie movie is going to be fantastic. And of course, I am looking forward to Picard season 3. I had to put that out there.
Everybody should be excited for it, especially if you're a Next Generation fan. I think everybody who's a Next Generation fan will love it.
Yes. I'm also going to be attending Star Wars Celebration this year.
You're going to London?
I am going to London.
Sweet. Is that in April?
It is in April, yes.
Nice. Man, I'd love to go there. Once again, you remind me, I have to get my passport renewed. I carry it around with me. I've filled out the paperwork. I keep meaning to go to the post office, and I don't. So our friend Mikey Lito, sends in a tip and says, "Good evening, Rob and
Hi.
and Lael. Lael's not here yet, but I'm sure he will be." Mikey says, "My hope for 2023 is to make it to 2024."
Oh, dear.
In the world of fandom, I'd like to point out that the MCU versus DCU, or digital UHD versus physical media, aren't nearly as important as fascism versus freedom. Love all of you, all that you do for Midnight Metal 36. Here to that, Mikey.
Here.
I couldn't agree more. And Alex Fraser sends in a tip and says, "Good day, Rob and crew. Thoughts on The Exorcist turning 50 years old this year?" Yes, it does. 50 years old. We are getting a 4K of The Exorcist from Warner Brothers as part of their 100th anniversary celebration. Arguably the most important film in the horror genre, and still one of the most impressive to date, in my opinion. Thanks for all you do. Well, The Exorcist is, I always say it's my favorite horror film. Um, I really do think it's one of the best horror films ever made, because for all of its horror, it's really actually about something. And, you know, to me, what I've loved about The Exorcist is you've got these two parallel stories, one about Chris McNeil and her daughter, obviously, that possessed Reagan, and then Father Karras and his crisis of faith. And it's such a very heady movie.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
still get scared even talking about The Exorcist.
Yeah, it's such a great movie. And then, of course, the director of the recent Halloween trilogy, is making a trilogy of Exorcist movies where Chris McNeil comes back. Ellen Burstyn's playing that role 50 years later in her 80s. I mean, hey, I don't know. We'll see. Maybe it's good. Who knows?
Yeah.
They just announced Exorcist 3, which I also really like, is coming out on 4K, which I'm excited about.
Mhm.
Kevin Morales says that Megan is a kind of sci-fi man's best friend. Well, that's pretty good. I like that. And Magic K says, I missed some of your stream. How is your options for Babylon? I haven't seen Babylon yet. I really want to see it, because I'm a huge fan of Damien Chazelle, and the movie looks great to me. I don't care about its successes. If it's good, it's good. You know? And
Absolutely.
then Maximus says, are you not entertained? They announced casting. They announced casting for Gladiator 2. The actor who's going to play the grown-up Lucius, son of Connie Nielsen's character in the first movie.
Mhm.
So that's cool. Rebel Sky says, Rob, you look like the Red Baron that you, Snoopy, and are about to take down. Starships, count me in. Star Space
Absolutely.
Rob, boldly going, bro. Well, Rebel Sky, that's it. I never thought of myself as the Red Baron. Yeah, Elizabeth gave me this awesome sweater hoodie for Christmas, and I love it.
Mhm.
So, yeah. But
And
there's a lot of great entertainment. I mean, The Last of Us, it looks like, Craig Mazin, who made Chernobyl, made it. Was the
yes.
showrunner along with the creator of the game. So I have high hopes. So, yeah.
They're using the same composer from the video game, will be composing the television show, so there's gonna be some kinda tie-in in the sound and the feel, I hope, which I don't know whether that's ever happened before, but I think it's really, really fantastic that they're doing that.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And I think it's going to be great. It looks so good.
It does, and, there's also Star Wars video games coming out. I think Star Wars, Jedi Fallen Order Part 2, which is Jedi Survivor,
Yeah,
is
which looks
coming out.
great as well.
It looks so good. Knights of the Old Republic. I don't know whether it's a remake or a remaster, but that's coming out. And of course, Hogwarts Legacy.
That looks incredible.
Hmm.
And they've been making that game for what seems like forever.
Yes, and I've played probably most of the Harry Potter games, because I just absolutely love them. I thought they were all great games. It's just it's a wonderful way to kind of explore the grounds. And now Legacy is going to be even more of an adventure for someone to play. I can't wait to get that game, Robert.
It looks incredible. Yeah, I mean, I can't wait either. I think it's going to be phenomenal.
Yes.
Yeah, so that'll be awesome. Tom Jr. Jackson says that Rob says Robin Ellen Burstyn turns 91 this year, which is mind blowing. Maybe she's had a little help from Satan. But yeah, let's hope it's great. I mean, I want it to be good. I hope it doesn't sully the memory. I kind of like the TV series that Gina Davis was in. I thought that was pretty good.
Oh.
I enjoyed it. So.
Well, I'll definitely look it up. And also, for the first time in a long time, the Golden Globe Awards are going to be televised. They said that they were not going to be televised last year. They're going to be televised this year. I'm going to be doing a live watch party of it on my channel of the Golden Globe Awards.
Are you going to get drunk and be hammered?
I'm going to dress up and, try and pick the winner and talk about last year's performances, because there were a lot of good films. It was a very unusual 2022 when it came to films.
No, I agree. I mean, we've had some really interesting movies this year. We've had kind of the failure of a lot of these adult films, but there's been a lot of really great stuff. I thought, like, I watched Tar again. I just love Tar. What a knockout movie that is. And any year that we get a Tar, I'm happy about that. So
I have to watch that one. I heard, is it Kate Blanchett?
yeah,
Who's,
she's going to win the Academy Award. I think
wow.
she's got it in the bag.
And that sounds exciting. Robert, did you ever see RRR?
Oh yeah, yeah. I saw, but I didn't see. I saw that you were going to show it in its original language.
Yes.
You're going to do like a watch party or something.
Well, I did one with Lorena maybe 6 months ago.
Right, I remember that.
And then we watched it tonight, but
Oh,
in the English dub tonight, just before, actually a few hours before we started this stream. So there was the second time that we did an RRR watch party, and it was, what was very odd about it was that it felt very different watching it the second time. There were so many things in the film that I didn't understand the first time around. So watching it the second time around, I noticed certain things I didn't notice the first time. It's 3 hours long, Robert. It's just an amazing film, and despite the fact that there are unbelievable feats in it, it doesn't matter because the film was so spectacular. You just can overlook certain things. So, and I think that Paulie and Chris Gore are going to be going to see the film next week with the director and two of the stars in California, where you are. I don't know what the movie
yeah.
theater
They're having some big screening for it. I don't. That'd be fun to go to. I'd love to see that in a theater because it's just so much fun.
Yeah, I thought maybe the screening meant that more people were putting it on the list for their consideration. Robert, does it have a chance?
Here's the thing about RRR. I think it's definitely, like, in India, no one bats an eye, but to me, it's the anti-verisimilitude movie, and that's kind of the point. And I think you have to go in understanding that. Like John Campea famously said he tapped out after like 10 or 15 minutes that he couldn't deal with. And I think that if you're not accustomed to it, and I think a lot of Academy voters might, I mean, if you're a fan of different kinds of cinema, I think it's great. But I think some of the older members of the Academy, it might not be their thing. By the way, I don't know if you've noticed this, but people in the chat, somebody here in the chat wants us to auction you off. Let's have an auction. Gunga Galunga. Gunga Galunga. That's Bill Murray. Says, let's have an auction to win a date with to bolster the Burnettwork funding. Well, I can't advocate that. That wouldn't be right. But I do appreciate the sentiment. And I'm sure if you're interested in a date with it's going to be more expensive than you can afford. Just so you know. Just
I have no words for this.
I don't either. Maybe I should keep my mouth shut while I'm ahead. But Gunga Galunga, I like your name. That's I've always liked that name. Good on you. And so that's good. The Richard says, Haoli Makahiki Ho, Happy New Year. As I say, this is the year your dreams come true, not just mine. Excited beyond. Long live the Post-Geek Singularity. Thank you, the Richard. Good to hear from you. Jermaine King says, hello, Robin. I hope we get a mushroom cloud scene in Oppenheimer that's equal to the atomic bomb scene from episode 8 of Twin Peaks: The Return. Ooh, I don't know if we could get that. That was amazing. That was amazing. What a crazy show that was.
Yeah, it was a very unique show, and we could use more things like that. I mean, I think it would be wonderful to see something like that in Oppenheimer. And Oppenheimer, I don't even think that's a name that a lot of people would recognize in this generation. The generation after us maybe don't recognize that name.
Oh, no, they don't. But they will after they see the movie,
Yes.
By the way, Paulie's in the chat and says, going to RRR at the Chinese Theater this Monday with the Q&A of the leads and the director.
Wow, that's
that's cool.
exciting. Hi, Paulie.
I hope it's in the big house.
Gosh, that's great.
Paulie, that picture you took of us in the Frolic Room caused a lot of controversy. I loved it. Hitchcock is the GOAT says, since Christopher Nolan is my favorite active living filmmaker, Oppenheimer is my obvious most anticipated movie. I need to send you a letter soon about my thoughts on why I was disappointed with 3 of the films in 2022 that many people felt were great. Oh, I'd love to get that letter. Send Speaking of letters, you know what? I've been getting a lot of letters for this channel.
Yes, Robert.
And
Yes.
I will, would you like me to lay one on you?
I would. I know you've gotten a lot of letters from Omar 94.
It's true. That is true. I've got some Omar 94 letters. I do. Um, let's see. Okay, here's an Omar 94 letter since you brought it up.
Okay.
Omar 94 writes, "Hey Rob, and Lael, moderators in the Post-Geek Singularity. Since it's December, we're almost at the end of the year, and I know there are those celebrating Hanukkah or Christmas. I'm neither Christian nor Jewish, so I don't do anything. However, I find myself being split internally during winter for some reason. On one hand, I do enjoy the winter time with the lights, Christmas movies, seeing snow, decorations, happy cheers, and seeing people come together for something joyous. On the other hand, I also feel a strange sense of sadness around the winter for some unexplained reason. But maybe it's because I see how others celebrate and I don't do that because I'm not Christian or Jewish. However, my go-to cure to feel better at any time is entertainment, since it provides escapism, which leads to this letter. These are a few movies I came across which I liked and would recommend to others as something to check out. Now, granted, I like these, but that doesn't mean you will. A 1951 musical, On Moonlight Bay, starring Doris Day. In the film, a teenage girl and college student begin to fall in love during World War I, but the college student's unconventional attitudes cause friction with the girl's father. That's interesting. I've never heard of that movie. A 1953 musical, By the Light of the Silvery Moon. With this, I've actually seen, with Doris Day, and is a sequel to On Moonlight Bay. I didn't know that The Light of the Silvery Moon was a sequel.
No, I
In the
didn't.
film, it picks up after World War I and continues the same love story from the first film, which serves as the backdrop for other problems going on with those around them. And then, and this is a change of pace, a 1994 dark comedy, The Ref, starring Dennis Leary and Kevin Spacey. In the film, a cat burglar holds a bickering family hostage, much to the burglar's annoyance. These are some of the movies I would recommend others check out during the winter time. As I said earlier, I like these, but that doesn't mean you will if you check them out. Thanks, and live long and prosper."
Wow.
That was from Omar 94. That's interesting.
Yeah.
I quite enjoy that.
What's also interesting, and probably a lot of the viewers know, but for those who don't, is that if Doris Day is in it, most likely it's going to be a musical. Is that right, Robert?
Yes, I would think so. Yeah.
And she had such a lovely voice. She's on Turner Classic Movies a lot. I don't know if I've ever seen By the Light of the Silvery Moon or the film prior to that, but I think just hearing her voice, will certainly cheer you up, even in the gloomy days of winter.
It's true. By the way, Doris Day will always cheer you up,
Mhm.
no matter what. Now, here's another that kind of follows up on that letter. Another letter from Omar. "Hi, Rob, Lael, moderators, the Post-Geek Singularity, Rob told a story about being in France and seeing a busy theater showing Casablanca. With that, I thought about movies and the quality of them, especially with all the shakeups happening within the major studios. While a majority of movies now are underwhelming, there are occasional good ones. But even with that, I don't really experience movie magic with them. Lael often says that writing isn't as good anymore. I definitely agree. There's still good writing now, but it's not as common, and it's not as good as writing for movies in the past, like The Maltese Falcon, It's a Wonderful Life, Casablanca, Godfather 1 and 2, China, Rocky, and New Hope, Empire Strikes Back, Raiders, Terminator, Back to the Future, When Harry Met Sally, The Shawshank Redemption, etc. Also, even when movies are now good, I don't feel the same movie magic. All those movies I just mentioned have movie magic when you watch them. Even older films that have movie magic, from The Wizard of Oz to E.T., Jurassic Park to Romancing the Stone, Roman Holiday to Roger Rabbit, Singing in the Rain, and To Catch a Thief, a lot of the Disney animated films, from Snow White, Pinocchio, Bambi, Fantasia, etc. A lot of earlier Pixar movies had movie magic, like the Toy Story films and The Incredibles and Monsters, Inc. and Ratatouille and Up. The Princess Bride has movie magic, as do films like Close Encounters of the Third Kind, Jaws, the original King Kong, The Adventures of Robin Hood, and many other films. That's something clearly lacking now, even when movies are out. Even with the movies that are out now, like Knives Out, A Quiet Place, Free Guy, and a lot of the MCU movies. I don't like all the MCU films, but even the good ones lack movie magic. With that, all the magic, so to speak, now seems to be in video games. I don't play video games anymore, but I love watching cutscene movies, since the
Yeah.
stories and characters are really compelling, making up for the underwhelming feeling I get from movies now. The last two God of War games set in the Norse era are good examples of that. I'm completely invested in Kratos trying to hide his past, his relationship with his son, the interaction with other characters they meet like Freya, Mimir, Brock, Sindri, Baldur, Magni, Modi, Odin, Thor, etc. I mentioned this before, but Jeffrey Katzenberg's 1991 memo about the problem with movies is worth reading because he's right, and how changes need to be made. You would think a powerful higher up could use his influence to guide people the right way to succeed, but no. If that memo was followed by people in Hollywood, maybe things would be better, since I don't feel movie magic anymore, even with good movies. I want to, but I can't. That's a bummer, Omar. I'm bummed out now. You've bummed me out. But I don't think he's wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that's true? Do you think that movies lack magic? And if so, why? Why do they lack magic?
I think that when you give the green light on a movie and you are the person making that decision, you're essentially, a lot of times today, it seems like it's a specific aesthetic that you have that you feel that makes a film okay. And we've always had B films, like those have always existed. You know, that there was never a question about whether B films would get made because there was always kind of a market for it. People would go and see a B film. Sometimes they're fun to watch, but you didn't necessarily have the greatest expectations for those films. There was always another category, you know, the ones that you expected to have movie magic in them that would be more successful, have more accolades to them. And usually those are ones with a more complicated story. I think it's, you know, wanting to go ahead and put in more emotional, more of an emotional investment in a story than what we're seeing. And we're not seeing those relationships that we would see in films. And I don't think it's the writing at all. I think it's the decision to include certain levels of intimacy in a story, good or bad experiences that a lot of modern films are shying away from. You know, we're not seeing those normal interactions between people that we would expect to see. It's not always going to be, you know, 100% happy experience. An example of this would be a film that I saw called White Noise, which I'm sure you've heard of.
Yeah,
Robert.
I also read the book, the Don DeLeo book.
And in the story, there are some uncomfortable encounters and situations that a lot of people today would say, no, I'm not putting that in. I don't want to put that scene in the film. It's going to turn people off to know that the wife is doing that. But, you know, things like this happen in life. Another one that reminds me of it is Licorice Pizza.
Yeah.
Where in the film, you know, you have this, it's kind of an endearing story. He's a young boy who's kind of on his own, so to speak. And he meets this woman and, you know, they have a very adult kind of relationship, Robert, that a young fellow shouldn't, maybe I guess it could be a coming of age story, but my goodness, he's grown up even before the coming of age story even starts. As he's trying to figure out how he's going to support himself more or less, or, you know, I can't remember if that's the exact point, but what I'm saying is there has to be some kind of an emotional, investment in a story, whether it's good or bad. And if you look at films from years ago, there's heavy emotional investment. And a lot of times the investment is uncomfortable things that people don't want to talk about nowadays. So that's the difference that I am noticing from beginning to end, not just in dramas, but in comedy, in, you know, science fiction, even, that was one of the things I think was missing in the Foundation series, Robert, was that they removed a lot of the emotional investment in the newer version of Foundation. So all of a sudden it didn't feel as profound as the books felt. But, you know, that's how I look at it.
Well, I think, we've got our other very esteemed colleague is here now and wearing a very Captain Kirk colored tunic. Welcome to Lail Rockwell. Hello, Lail.
Hey,
Happy New Year, sir.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, man. How y'all doing?
First of all, I want to know,
Yeah.
when you saw that Clone Wars armored Obi-Wan drop, did you dance around the Lail basement?
Bro, it was crazy. It was nutty because, like I said, we've been talking about it for the longest time, for like almost a year now.
Yeah.
But now we see why. We see why it took him so long.
What a
that
figure,
head sculpt
dude.
Yeah, it's incredible, man. It's just definitely incredible, bro, and I'm excited about it. Definitely excited about it.
So now let me ask you,
Yeah.
what are you excited about that's coming up in 2023?
Film wise,
Or film, TV, video games, music, anything?
okay, so uh, one of my most anticipated films of the year, definitely is Across the Spider-Verse. I love that film. I cannot wait to see it.
It looks incredible.
It looks incredible. Like the amount of characters that they have pulled straight from the IP that are going to be in this film
That
is
poster
phenomenal.
they dropped with all the
Yeah,
Spider-Man
bro.
in it, dude.
Yeah,
come on.
Yeah, it's going to be phenomenal, bro. So I definitely can't wait for it. That's my most anticipated film. Television show, my most anticipated, I would actually have to say, man, that's the rough part because, well, you know what? It's tough, Rob, because we got Dune coming out. We have Across the Spider-Verse. We have Ant-Man and the Wasp next month, which I'm definitely excited about, which I think is going to kickstart everything.
I do too. I think there's a lot in that movie we have no idea is coming.
Yeah, that we have absolutely no idea that's actually coming. I know we have Loki this year. I know we have oh man, I'm just trying to think of just so many. Of course we have Mando coming this year. So I definitely can't wait for that. And yeah, I mean, it's so much. It's like so much to basically draw from. Film wise, I'm just like I said, it's going to be more interesting because it's a loaded year. Definitely want to see The Flash. Definitely want to see Oppenheimer. You know what I mean? You know, again, historically, you just something that you have to see. And yeah, I mean, it's just so much that I'm anticipating, and I can't wait for, man. Like it's really crazy.
Me Viewer 2 sends in a super chat, and he says, "Please tell me that they're thinking of the Phoenix saga for the X-Men. If not, sad." Well, they kind of did that. I mean, you know, they've tried to do the Phoenix saga twice.
Dark Phoenix?
And it really hasn't worked well. I mean,
I think
Dark Phoenix wasn't great, and then when they had the Phoenix in X-Men 3, not good. It wasn't good.
I think that initially, and if I'm Kevin Feige, I'm thinking about, you know, and for me personally, I would actually want to see the official First Class, like literally, because the thing is, it's like to go. I mean, I would want to see
talking Beast, Iceman, Jean Grey,
and
Bobby
Cyclops. Drake. Exactly, the original First Class. And I say that now. Here's the thing: you can do that,
or Iceman,
and you can bring. You know, I mean, you can definitely do something like that, and you can bring in, of course, Warren Worthington later. You can bring in, Wolverine, in a different iteration. It doesn't, that second stage you can gradually bring in, but you don't have to bring them into just the X-Men IP in the very beginning. Because the thing is, I think they need to really focus on fleshing out those characters. Definitely Cyclops needs a fair go. He does.
Yeah, he's never been. It's funny because I thought James Marsden was perfect casting, but he was done dirty. He didn't.
Yeah, they did him dirty. They definitely did him dirty. And the thing is, it's like in my mind, I've already fan cast who Cyclops could be. The guy, I don't know if you actually, I mean, of course, you've seen Euphoria, right?
Oh, yeah.
What is his name?
Oh, I know who you're talking about. I don't know the name of the actor, but I know who you mean.
Yeah, tall. He's slim. He could portray the role perfectly. He's from Australia, and I think he can pull it off perfectly. But I think they should go with the First Class first because, again, they need to kind of flesh that out. We need to see, not really too much going into an origin story, but at least flesh out those particular characters. I think that they need to actually have like an arc. We need to really get to know those particular characters, the character build up before we actually get, because the thing is, it goes straight into like the Dark Phoenix, like they did on film, without really, really fleshing out the character and giving us hints earlier on. I think it was a mistake.
No, you have to set that up. That's
it has to be set up.
What they do with Avengers, but the thing is, how they set up the Avengers storylines, like the Infinity Saga, the Dark Phoenix, and do the Dark Phoenix saga right, like bring in the Shi'ar Empire and Lilandra. They have to, because they've never, as much as, like, look, I love Days of Future Past.
Yeah,
I really
yeah,
do. I think Days of
yeah.
Future Past is it's a good movie. And, I did the special features for X-Men and X-Men 2. And, I think what Brian did with people forget what Brian did with the first X-Men back then. Even the producer thought that movie was going to fail. Lauren Schuler Donner didn't even go to the premiere.
Yeah.
She thought it was going to be that people were going to hate it. And if
Wow.
you go back and watch it, the effects, they didn't have that movie was made for $75 million. It didn't have a huge budget. I mean, that was still it was Brian's biggest budget, certainly, but the effects are a little ropey now, but you go back and you look at it, it was pretty audacious to open a superhero movie in a concentration camp.
Yeah.
And I
Exactly.
thought, and Patrick Stewart and Ian McKellen were so good in that movie.
Yeah, they were.
You and my
They did such a great job, bro.
They did such a good job. Yeah,
they did do such a great job, and that's the thing, bro. Like, I mean, I think it's such a rich IP, and I think that's one of the reasons why Kevin Feige's taking his time with it. For the simple fact that they actually had to initially wait 5 years just to kind of come up with an idea. I'm patient. I'm definitely patient with this, bro, because I know it's going to happen exactly the way it's supposed to. But I think it's just like a waiting period. And, if you want something done right, sometimes you have to be patient, bro.
I'll tell you what, the more I hear about it, I think the movie that's coming out from Marvel that I'm most interested in seeing is the new Captain America movie, New World Order.
Yeah, bro.
I don't even know what it's about. I mean, if they have Harrison Ford coming back to play Thaddeus Ross and he truly is the president of the United States, but he's a villain. I mean, I love that idea. Like, I don't know what it's about, but I know that one of the things we forgot to mention that I'm really looking forward to because I've read the scripts is Secret Invasion.
Yeah.
Secret Invasion's really good.
So,
at least the scripts were.
Yeah, I mean, from what you're basically saying and what you're giving us from the background, it does. It does basically seem like it's going to be something incredible, man. I mean, and all we've seen so far was just like one trailer. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, we haven't really gotten too much.
But they look like they nailed it. I mean, it's got such a really interesting story. What I like about it is it's a really interesting Skrull story.
Mm-hmm.
It's basically the story of the Skrulls, and Nick Fury's the main character. So it's always and Rhodey's in it, and other people are in it. But it's good to. And all I can say is I'm really happy. I finally got my Maria Hill figure, so I'm stoked about that.
You got it?
Yes.
So when did it come in?
It came in two weeks ago, right before Christmas.
Okay.
I ordered it in August.
Oh yeah.
Like it was one of those previously owned figures. Maybe they just didn't have it and they had to find another one or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Speaking of things I can't wait to get my InArts Joker, man. There's all that controversy about Toys Wonderland shipping it. I mean, the box is huge, so who knows?
Pretty big. And you see what they did today, right?
Oh no, what did they do today?
So Aragorn
about Aragorn,
right?
you get free shipping.
Free shipping through DHL, yeah.
Like, come on.
I don't know what that means, bro. Like, I mean,
that Aragorn figure is incredible, though.
It is. It's again, bro. Like, I mean, it's an incredible piece, but that Lord of the Rings line, like, I'm a fan of the film, but to go down that line for me, it's like, nah, that's just uncharted waters. And it doesn't fit the scheme of my collection. So I was like, yeah,
right. Yeah, and plus it's so the InArts Gandalf and the InArts Aragorn, but you want the Fellowship.
Yeah,
I mean that's the whole thing. If you're gonna buy Lord of the Rings figures, and Erasmus Toys has done a good job, but I want you want the Fellowship. You gotta have the Fellowship.
Yeah. You at least need the Fellowship, bro. And I think the next one that they're doing is Legolas.
Yeah.
So it's just going to be Legolas, Gandalf, and yeah.
But Legolas, Gandalf, and Aragorn, that's at least, if that's all they made, that's pretty good.
Yeah, definitely pretty good, bro. Definitely pretty good.
So 200 Watt Studio says, Happy New Year, and Lael and Rob, let's have grand physical media in 2023. Well, Let's Get Physical Media comes back. I didn't announce this, but I've got a giveaway. I'll show now. So tomorrow, I'm giving away the Sony Pictures Classics 30th anniversary Blu-ray or 4K set with 30 films, everything from Pedro Almodovar to Run Lola Run to SLC Punk to Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. This is a pretty dope set. So tune in tomorrow to Let's Get Physical Media for a 2023 giveaway.
Yeah.
and I will pack it up and on camera so people can see that.
Right.
So, Al Renshaw asks if we have any thoughts on the Gran Turismo trailer. I didn't know that it dropped. I love the game, so I have not seen the trailer, Al.
I definitely haven't seen it.
I will go look at that. And Al goes on to say, any movie involving fatherly relationships have been rough for me since my dad passed away a few years ago. I'm sorry to hear that.
Sorry to hear that.
Any type of movies do that for you guys? Are there any movies that make you sad?
That's interesting. I would probably like a father, relationship, a journey, with someone close. I don't know. Let me because Latoya T is actually sitting right here next to me.
Really?
She decided to come downstairs because, all right, I'm snitching. So listen, we were basically, so we went to go see Megan. So we saw that today.
Oh, and what'd you guys think?
Excellent film. I liked it. I liked it. I liked the story behind it. I love the premise of it, whatever, and it was really, really good. So we were upstairs and we finished up Paranormal Activities 4. Was that 4? And she's like, yeah, if you go downstairs, I'm coming down there with you.
By the way, you put up a picture of her a couple weeks back that was absolutely spectacular.
Yeah.
It was amazing. Like, it was a stunningly beautiful photo. That Latoya, man.
Yeah. She
truly is a cocoa tulip, let me tell you.
So she got, the photos were done by Michael Letterlow. He's actually a friend that we know who used to live here, but he's actually moved out to California. He lives out in LA now. So he's a, well-known photographer. He's, taking pictures, photos of stars and stuff like that. So he decided to come back, and then she booked a session with him, and he's been going crazy since. So, yeah.
Okay. Binary Sunset Media says, Rob, do you have a Jyn Erso 6-scale figure? I will send one for free. Send one to me.
Generous.
Because
That's generous.
If you will, now here's the thing. I was broke. I have no Rogue One figures. None.
Wow.
I didn't even get Krennic, and I wanted Krennic so bad. If you really mean that, I will not look a gift horse in the mouth. I would love to have, because I have listened to Lael Rockwell wax rhapsodic about Jyn, so that's like
best film. I mean, the best character ever.
You love those figures. So yes, bro. Binary Sunset Media, that would be very nice of you.
Wow.
I will take that off of your your hands. By the way, since I saw you last, a buddy Rob, guy who watches the show, not me, wanted to get rid of his 6-scale third-party like So-So Toys X-Men collection.
Oh, for real?
And I took it off his hands. He gave me an incredible price. And one of the things that he had in there was the Age of Ultron Wanda.
Oh, for real?
Dude, I got Xavier and his chair. Michael Fassbender Magneto. And it's funny because I saw that Toys Wonderland was selling Negasonic Teenage Warhead for like $80 today.
Did you get it?
I haven't yet, but I was thinking about it. Like that and the Juggernaut as well. They're selling the Juggernaut for cheap because those, and having the movie X-Men. I mean, I got a lot of them. I got Iceman, Beast, Cyclops, Mystique, Jean Grey. Yeah. They're great. So thank you, Rob. And the reason that Rob sold them is he's gone to 12 scale, and he's got an incredible collection. He built this like. It's almost like a bar. I want to say it was a bar. I have a video of it. It's on my old phone. I got a new phone, but it's a bar where he's hundreds of figures in this bar, and he's recreated scenes. It's incredible. His figures are incredible. And he just called me. He's got a few more. He's like, you needed to have these other figures, these other X-Men I didn't give you, like the McKellen Magneto. I'm like, I'll take that. So if you're that, I would love to get a Jyn or so. That would be amazing. Of course, that means I have to get all the Rogue One figures, and those are all pricey boys.
Yeah,
but I gotta get them.
Does he have is it the deluxe version or is it the regular version?
He just said Jyn Erso, and I will take any. He said Binary Sunset says, dude, she needs a home. Well, Binary Sunset Media, I will definitely take it off your hands.
You will not be disappointed.
Yeah, please contact me, slide into my DMs or wherever. I will, or have Tom Jr. Jackson. I think Tom has my email. or get your email, send it to Tom, and Tom send it to me. Because man, I certainly would love to have that figure.
Yeah,
I
no, but
get...
to answer your question really quick, because I forgot. I would say the only film that would probably say it brings you to that moment was Pursuit of Happiness and what he went through with his son.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
You know what? Okay, I can tell you movies I've cried in. The first movie I cried in was Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan, when Kirk killed. I don't lie. You know, it's when Kirk says, "Of all the souls I've encountered in my travels, yours was the most human." The second movie I cried in was The Color Purple, when Nettie and Celia are reunited. By the way, that comes out this year too. The musical film version of Color Purple comes out in December, that Oprah Winfrey and Steven Spielberg produced, and Quincy Jones produced.
So is it going to be on Broadway or
no? It's in the film. They took the Broadway play and they've adapted it to film.
Oh, for real?
Yeah.
Okay. I wonder what it's going to. I wonder where they're going to show it. I wonder if it's going to be on Disney Plus or some. I don't know.
Well, it's Warner Brothers. So
okay. So it'll be through Warner Brothers.
And I hope it's great. I mean, I'm a huge fan of that movie, and it's funny because it was kind of controversial when it came out because Spielberg directed it, and they say they didn't hit Alice Walker's like the themes in the book enough. But I think that I love that film.
Yeah.
And I think I love the score. I love Quincy Jones's music. And I love Margaret Avery as Shug Avery's singing sister. I love that movie. Yeah,
it was definitely amazing, bro. Definitely. I mean, it hit all beats, bro. Like, definitely. Even a part where the father was in the church preaching, and you see Shug just actually go to.
Yeah, it brings everybody from the juke joint into the church.
Yeah, the juke joints into the church and start. Yeah, that was like my favorite part, bro.
Yeah, that movie's that movie's still fantastic. And you know what's funny? Yeah. When I interviewed Ruth Carter recently, by the way, you can see that interview on the Designing Hollywood podcast. The costume designer for Wakanda Forever, she told me the story that the movie that made her want to become a costume designer was The Color Purple.
Yeah.
And I said to her, I go, and you ended up working with just about every member of the cast of that movie later on. I mean, almost everyone she ended up working with. I mean, because even like young Larry Fishburne's in that movie.
Yeah, he is.
And everybody's in that movie.
He is. Yeah, everybody. So
it's great.
That had to be a dream, straight up.
Yeah. So, but that's a good thing. So let me ask you this. So yes, I want that Jyn Erso figure to answer your question. Let me ask you guys this. I've had a little couple of snits with people about fandom recently, and I know Lael, you've been colliding with people over, like, even I've seen some dust ups in the 6 scale community. I'm like, what the hell, man? What the hell?
God,
what? And
oh my God!
I would ask the two of you. And of course, I went off one night and was kind enough to take down the stream, which I obliterated because I was pissed. You know what? I don't usually get mad. It's funny because I got called out and then I went out and got myself some dinner and I was pissed. I was just so. And I come back and I went on and did the stream and I'm like, I called this. I don't like if somebody's. You know what's when people call me out. I'm like, listen, come on the stream. And you say to me what you want to say to me live. We'll do it live. And no one ever takes me up on it.
They didn't.
Nobody. They'll call you up and I'm like, come talk about it. And I'll be nice. But I was pissed. I was steamed. And I was steamed because Paulie took a picture of me, Chris Gore, Gary Nerdrotic, and him and Paulie at the Frolic Room before he went and saw Star Wars Burlesque. And I got accused of being a racist. And I'm like, are you kidding me? And I was pissed.
Wow.
But so fandom, let me ask you guys, I've been talking about it a lot. I did my fandom manifesto on this channel a couple weeks ago. And we were talking about it earlier. I mean, I would have thought, since we're all fans,
Mhm.
You know, our baseline is we're all fans.
Yeah.
Why do we not go from our shared? Why isn't our shared fandom the place from which everything springs? Why can't, when we talk, do we not understand that we're first and foremost all fans, and yet it's as divisive as politics lately. What can we do to make that better? Like in the six scale community, we're collecting action figures and we're getting all kinds of cool shit, and everybody's pissed off all the time.
It's worse.
Why do you think people are mad?
Definitely worse. I don't know. Did you want to go first, or did you want me to go first?
Well, I don't think people are mad. I think they have frustrations, and it has absolutely nothing to do with what they're talking about as they, harp out what they're saying. I think it's frustrations from other things, and those emotions are pent up inside of them. And since we have a society where people aren't speaking to one another anymore the way they should, the responses are coming out, and you can see the frustration in them. And for a lot of these cases, what we're seeing is someone just wants to talk. This is, we've had members come in the chat, and members who really apologize after saying things only to realize that they needed someone to talk to. And I would have never guessed that this forum would become this kind of therapy, but it's even a therapy for me. I mean, even I jump on streams and I have to say something, and I feel like someone has to hear me say it, but I think what's happening is this is becoming such a primary way we're communicating, especially the group of people who watch YouTube are using this as something that's essential in their lives. And even sometimes the smallest comment, they have to get it out. And where they live, they might be alone or there's nobody there. And it's almost unimaginable because we've become so isolated and boxed in with so much of what's going on. And it's more than once when I'm going somewhere, I might hear someone say, well, I don't ever go anywhere or leave my house. There are people who are in situations like this, for whatever reason, or they can't leave or whatever it is. It is a very different experience for people who are like this. And a lot of the community members fall into this category. Even for those who were able to reach out, we had a situation where everybody was pushed into a box, and it's not easy coming out of that. The repercussions from that are going to be felt for quite some time. And this is, after a while, you're like, why? It feels very confusing in the sense because we have people just kind of saying things that if they said to you in person, you probably just would have shrugged it off. But once it goes into the written word, it's, it suddenly gets transformed into something else. And, sometimes, I really am very concerned because a lot of times we might see comments as a moderator for certain channels, you just delete these things. But, my thought is always what's really going on the other side? Because, it's more than just the one sentence or the comments you're hearing. And it feels very awkward in a sense to police them as a moderator, knowing that we don't really have very much control over it. And sometimes we try to reach out, like Tom Jr. Jackson does this a lot, and he'll talk to some of the people who are in there and say, well, just tell us why you were saying that, or, could you please let us know what's going on in your mind and why? And
Tom's very good at dealing with people. I'm very impressed.
He is very good at dealing with people. He's very good at diffusing situations, and we're becoming friends with a good portion of these community members, and their personalities can be different. And some people aren't even able to express themselves or say what they actually want to say. So that's how I kind of look at some of the comments, because a lot of times they'll be contradicting what they've said before, or maybe they've changed their mind midway. And, so I think when we talk about, maybe it's not necessarily something that's wrong, but there maybe needs to be more communication all the way around. I mean, some people can't even, be on at the same time. So you may only ever hear them once. And I just had to wonder about it because, while I do have a channel called Positive Fandom, not everybody can focus on the positive all the time. Sometimes it's not possible for them to do that, and they need to tell somebody something, and it may be bad. So that's something I always think about. You do hear things from members, and you're like, gee, I wonder, how should I respond to this? What am I going to say to them? If I say something, it just might make them angrier. There are so many types of things we're seeing that we might not have seen before because we would have been in a personal social situation, right? We wouldn't be on here. We'd be meeting somebody and we'd be face to face. It's very different having those in-person interactions. So these online interactions are very different. You know, they have a different feel to them, you know. I think it's very interesting when we're looking at things and having to deal, we have no choice but to deal with these things on a regular basis being creators. And, you know, a lot of that, there's nothing that prepares us for it. There's nothing that says, hey, if this happens to you, this is how you should respond. You know, case in point, so I know a creator who's, I'm not going to mention their name, but had to take a break because of some messages they were getting that were not nice messages. And it had an effect on them.
Right.
It had an effect on their ability to create something they love doing, something they enjoy doing, they do for a living. So, you know, these responses do matter. And, you know, in the end, it's not just the people in the chat, and, you know, the creators also have this other level of having to deal with a lot of these situations, and the moderators who, you know, are along with us for the ride with this. But it's really this you know, kind of communication level that we haven't had to deal with before. You know, if this was
you're absolutely right about that.
Yeah, if this was a television network, nobody would even be able to talk to us. It'd have to go through 2 or 3 people before we could even speak to anyone. So, you know, now all of a sudden you have a different level of access and communication. You know, it really is a new realm that we're dealing with, even more than if it was just, you know, on your Facebook page. You know, here we are, they can see what we look like, we're talking, they can speak to, send in something and we read it right now. Maybe they're still there. It's very, very different than, you know, I like to compare it to, you know, Frasier, where people would call in and someone would kind of screen before they get to Frasier. And so, you know, we kind of are, you know, there isn't anybody screening. Maybe the moderators are doing that, but, you know, there isn't that buffer that we have that can make that initial evaluation of where does this need to go oftentimes. And so we get the brunt of comments that may be negative or stuff that it's confusing or even just bewildering. And so we find ourselves in a very, you know, different situation than I think maybe we thought would be a possibility of what we're doing. That's long-winded, right?
No, but I think you're right. I mean, you know, it's funny. One of the things that I've really liked, like, you can't be on, especially like you said, Positive Fandom and the channel that I've had. There's been a lot of people that have been have written me very heartfelt letters off, you know, they don't read online, that they want advice or they contact me, and then other people get angry. You know, you let them in and you give them a voice, and then people get angry at you for whatever reason. And it is, I mean, but you're absolutely right, because to me, I always looked at this channel in particular as being at a science fiction convention or at San Diego Comic-Con, like always doing panels and stuff. And when I go to Comic-Con, I'll talk to everybody. You know, to me, because everybody's equal in my eyes. You know, if we're at conventions, I've been going to conventions since I was a kid. Everyone's there for the same reason, that you're fans.
Yeah.
But what I found, let me ask you, Lael. By the way, that was very well put. Thank you for that.
Oh, thank you.
Lael, I got to ask you specifically about the 6-scale community. Now, here's what I don't get. First of all, did you get your Falcon cockpit? Your Millennium Falcon cockpit from Jazz Inc. And okay. Okay.
It's definitely a religious experience. I'll say that. As a matter of fact,
when you plug it in for the first time,
so I have a video that I want you to see that I'm gonna actually show to everybody. and literally, it's going to get posted up. So I have this video that I want everybody to see.
I wanted you to do that.
Yeah. Yeah. I have this video that I want everybody to see.
Did LaToya film you the moment you plugged it in for the first time?
She hasn't. No. She hasn't. But you got to see the reaction. Once you got to see the reaction. It's definitely amazing. So it was the best experience. It was one of the best experiences. But
because I got my Batmobile
I saw it. I saw the picture you with it in your hand,
dude.
You know what I mean?
First of all, it's easily one of the coolest things I've ever owned in my entire life.
Yeah.
But when I opened it up, it was rather embarrassing. It was on they recorded it. There was a video on the Weekly Hero. I was so beside myself And then when you plug it in, I mean, for me, the thing about the Falcon cockpit is that moment when you plug it in that first time and you look at it straight on.
When you see it, the thing is, when you see it, because the photo that I took, like I took a video and I took a photo from the back with the characters there and from the back.
Right. So looking out through the cockpit.
Exactly. And when you see it, it's just like we saw it through their eyes on camera. Like literally it is. It's like that. And because you can alternate and just have, like, you can go from New Hope to Empire to Force Awakens. You can go to everything and just swap it out, and it still gives you that magic. Even like Hobo Luke, when we basically saw Luke, on, Ahch-To,
right.
When we basically saw him in the cockpit grabbing the dice.
Yeah.
When you put that in, it's like, yo, it's just that the thing is, it's a character in its own.
Yeah.
And we know the Falcon has always been, it's a character in its own.
But when you put the figures in it with it lit up, dude.
Yeah.
Okay, that said, now back to the
6 scale,
Here we are getting third-party figures are getting better than they've ever been.
Yeah.
So Toys is knocking it out of the park.
I love third-party figures.
Yeah, we're getting so much.
Which my boss man is going to be here either tomorrow or Monday.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So why is everybody so pissed off?
Okay, so here's the thing, bro. Like in the 6 scale community, I find that not one figure is going to ever be perfect.
No,
it's never going to be perfect. There's no level of perfection, and like literally, it's going to get close to it, but not one figure is going to have that level of perfection. But it's going to come close to it, and instead of us really enjoying the simple fact that we're getting figures now that we would have never gotten years ago.
No, I can't believe I have Spock.
Exactly.
A 6 scale figure of Spock in his black robes that he comes on.
Exactly.
I have Avery Brooks.
Exactly. So
with multiple outfits,
multiple. Exactly, bro. So you're getting all these pieces. You're getting this works of art, bro. And then on top of that, we have a company like InArt who's, is really, really helping the culture evolve. It's helping the community to evolve. We're seeing pieces that we've never seen before at such a level of perfection. It's just like, it's unheard of. And the thing is, it's like, it's okay. Okay, listen, it's okay to have an opinion, because that is, again, they're listening to us. They thrive off of our opinions. They thrive off of our critiques, our takes on these pieces, because it only allows them to improve.
Right.
And that's the space that we're allowed to live in. And that's completely fine. It is. But the problem is when people use their disdain for a company to really abuse others, bro. Yeah. And that's the biggest problem. Your anger, your frustration, your whatever issues that you might have experienced with the company, that automatically is used as a vehicle to discredit someone else's character. And that to me is a no. And it happens constantly, bro. I mean, we just went through that whole wave, like literally, bro, as when Toys Wonderland put up the disclaimer, or when people found out that they were charging whatever. Listen, the box is huge, bro. Like that box is incredibly big.
I've seen it. When I went and saw when Justin was here in town and filming.
Yeah.
I looked at first of all, the box is really cool, but it's it's monstrously huge.
It's massive, bro. With the amount of accessories that come inside of this box, it's the size, damn near the size of a quarter scale statue. You know what I mean?
And there's even things like they include these capsules that you put the head sculpts inside of.
Yeah. So they're massive. I mean, these are massive boxes, and it's weighted. So I kind of figured, even like distributors over here, stateside, have said that, like, yo, the cost of this box shipping wise is like a Hot Toy figure. Like literally, this is what they say. And I'm like, well, that's to be expected. So I understand that, but you know what happens though, because it is Toys Wonderland.
Yeah.
Who gets targeted?
Yeah.
And that's the sad part. That's the sad part, is that this person gets targeted and he doesn't own the company. He doesn't run the company. He doesn't make the company's decisions. That's the thing. People, you're seeing this on so many different platforms where individuals will have opinions, but they're getting bashed because of their opinions, like literally. Or if you decide as a content creator that you don't want to basically follow that trend and you don't want to talk about these things, then automatically you're a shield for the company because you refuse to address it, or you refuse to basically bring that energy to your channel.
Well, yeah, it's such a weird thing. Like, you know, Justin is the nicest guy in the world.
Yeah.
You know, he partners up with Toys Wonderland as a business decision, whatever. And he's not. And by the way, Toys Wonderland does try. They're pretty fly by night, and they're getting bigger. They don't have enough people. They're trying. You know, they've screwed up things for me too. But I don't dislike them because when they work, they work. You know.
Yeah.
And they
and you get, when it works, it works. When it doesn't, it doesn't. But they're not the only companies that yet we've experienced issues with. I've had issues with Sideshow. I've had issues with Pop Collectibles. I've had issues with TNS. I've had issues with different companies when it came to getting pieces. Just because one company, and again, bro, like, it's costly. Like, that I decided, like, for the Batman All In. Like, now I actually ordered and I paid off the Batman All In set from NR. But I got that through Spec Fiction because it's free shipping through.
Is that the Batman and the Bruce Wayne and the?
Yeah, it's the Batman and the Bruce Wayne set, and with the.
I love
the
how you look over at LaToya now that you're talking about how you bought the figures.
Yeah, because you got to make sure.
Honey, how much did you spend on that?
She might take a bottle of water, throw it at me, but I was like, nah. But no. So but no. Look,
I love how you looked over at her. Well, I bought the entire Batman as you turn and look at her.
I have to.
Baby, it's okay. I ordered this 3 years ago.
Exactly. But it's the simple fact that, like, bro, like, instead of us having these conversations about the innovation of these pieces, it's all about, okay, who's sending what company is distributing this, who said this, or if you like a figure that someone else doesn't like, you know what I mean, then it's charged. Instead of us enjoying, but also the simple fact that sometimes we do actually have content creators who perpetuate that attitude, bro. And we have a responsibility as content creators to steer the ship the right way, to navigate it towards a positive outcome, instead of allowing this stuff to fester and just letting it fester and not saying anything about it and addressing it. It doesn't need to happen. We create the space that people live in. We create the space that people exist in. You know what I mean? If we lead by that level of example, then it doesn't leave that space for people to really have these, you know, irreversible, toxic type of conversations that really can hurt, you know, and destroy a person's character. Like, we are the ones that are supposed to perpetuate good behaviors. And if we don't do that, and if we continue to allow these discussions to take place and filter, then people will figure, or even those individuals will say, you know what? Oh, it's okay for me to basically feel the way I do. It's okay for me to actually come out and cause this much disruption and divisiveness. And that's the thing, is we have to speak out against it. But at the same time, we can allow people to have opinions. It's okay to have opinions as long as it's constructive. As long as we can actually, as long as you have a way that you deliver it that doesn't hurt another person's feelings, that it's not attacking a person for their beliefs, and we can just at the end of the day say, okay, cool, we can agree to disagree, walk away from it, and we're still cool. On to the next figure. It's a beautiful piece. I can't wait to get it. And that's how it should be.
I want to add something to what Lael is saying, and as creators, we know that people make mistakes too. Mm-hmm. And you know, sometimes that happens. You know,
speak for yourself.
Yeah.
Well, and that's part of all of this is looking out for one another, which we are seeing time and time again in this community of knowing that's like, you know, maybe I should, you know, reach out to this person and find out what's going on with them.
Yeah.
That's also part, you know, to continue what you're saying, Lael, of that responsibility. And, you know, I've witnessed it time and time again. And just, you know, realizing that that is part of just being a human being, is knowing that sometimes these things happen. The other thing I did want to mention is, and we've all three of us have talked about this before, you know, with the different, different opinions. And I like to hear different opinions, so I like it when I hear different ones. But for some people, it's disturbing or unnerving or whatever it is. And, just taking a step back and just take some moments to yourself and deal with what you're feeling, internally, and then, take that deep breath. Don't send, like I say, don't send that email. Don't go ahead and send those things right away. Just take a deep breath, call your best friend and talk to them.
Exactly.
If you have to talk to someone about it, go ahead and do that. There's nothing wrong with having a response to something and speaking to somebody who cares about you, getting those things out. It's perfectly normal to have that. And then after once your feelings have subsided maybe a bit, or you feel like that's not so important to me anymore, and I can kind of go on with things. But it's okay to call somebody and have those discussions. Absolutely nothing wrong. We're going to have things in life that will bother us. I remember my mother wanted to paint my room a certain color, and she went and did it. And I was like, I can't stand this. I have to sleep in here. Like, it was a very funny thing as a kid. And, anybody else might've said, wow, it's nice that your parents, look after your room and wanted to redecorate it and stuff. But, it's just very funny. Sometimes for different people, they have different things that might affect them different ways. So we've all had to deal with that. I've witnessed, people here dealing with it. And, I think it's very interesting. We have a responsibility for that too. So, it's going to happen. There are going to be those things that will be unsettling, and it's okay that happens, because you're a human being, and that is going to happen.
It's okay. It's okay to basically, and that's what I'm saying. Like, if I like something that you do not like, and you that's vocalized. I mean, you have the space. You say why. It doesn't say it's my space to say it's my. It's my duty to basically just say, okay, cool. I understand that. That's perfectly fine. We just have we have a different tastes when it comes to a certain piece. We may see a totally different perspective. It may fit something. It fits my vision of how I want my collection to be. It may not work for you. You know what I mean? Or, it's two totally different visions, but at the end of the day, we respect the art form. You know what I mean? Right. We do respect that. And that's where it should be. But the thing is, it's like we thrive for a space where we can have these conversations. We thrive for a safe space where we can feel like, okay, we can share these ideas. The minute we destroy that space, the minute we it's like, yo, you're moving from one unsafe arena to the next. You know what I mean? You're creating that. Like, if you're part of the problem and not part of the solution, then there's no forward motion. There's no evolution. You know what I mean? We have to kind of like teach ourselves to kind of like, okay, respect each other, have a respectable conversation, and just move on from it, and just like what we like, love what we love, and just leave it at that.
I've got to show you guys something. So a couple years ago, I supported a Kickstarter for these guys that were going to make action figures from the 1967-68 show The Prisoner. That's a favorite of mine.
Yes.
So I did like you did with the Batman. I went all in. I got everything that they were individually carded figures, and you never know. Yeah. But they're 3 3/4 figures. I was just like prisoner figures. So I get this box the other day. I get this box, and so I open it up. There's individual figures, and then there was episode figures, because if you know the show, so I got to show this real quick, because I haven't shown this. I haven't shown this to anybody. Okay. So this is just one of the boxes. And this is the episode Free for All, right? And the package, so you open it up, and it comes with number 6 and number 2, and the phones that are on his desk. They did this. The people that made these figures did such an incredible job. They are absolutely. When I got this and opened this up, I was so blown away. And the box I had forgotten what I got individual carded prisoner figures, and they made little plastic stands that they fit in. They did such an amazing job that and again, at the end of the year, I got my Batmobile I waited 4 years for. I ordered these things that were 2 years. I got my space battleship Andromeda that I've been building, that's 4.5 feet. All this stuff that I had ordered. So if Elizabeth is watching, baby, for real, I ordered a lot of this stuff years ago, and it all finally It all finally came in.
Disclaimer.
Yeah, it all finally. But
Yeah.
when I got this package, it was really well packed, and all the stuff that came in, I'm like, it was the most amazing Kickstarter. And these guys, I think I paid $250, and I got a bunch of figures and 2 T-shirts and all this amazing swag. And I'm like, I never thought that I would live in a world in 2022, now 2023, where some dudes would go make prisoner action figures from the 60s. And not only did they knock it out of the park, they put so much time and care and effort into this. And, Kickstarter, you never know what you're going to get, but they're incredible. Incredible. And I was thinking to myself, we live in a world, look, I know we're talking about action figures and comic book movies and all that. And like Mikey said earlier, let's hope that our freedom doesn't descend into fascism. We still have to be ever vigilant, and AI is rapidly changing the world around us. But the things that bring us joy, there is so much amazing stuff on every level. And I understand fans get angry, but now I do feel that fandom has taken, we've gone into like this default position of anger in a way, because anger means you're feeling something. And a lot of the time, it's hard for people to feel joy. I even knew as a kid, I had friends that would ask me, I'd get a new Star Wars figure or something, and people would be like, why are you so happy about it? I'm like, because it's cool, man. Look at this. It's cool.
Yeah.
My whole life I've been getting, and now it's the same shit. I'm getting an Admiral Kirk. I got an Admiral Kirk figure from Mego in 1979. I get another one in 2022, and it's awesome. It's, and I just feel that the positivity, like Taylor, who works with me, he was in the chat. I don't know if he's still there. He saw me open that Batmobile. And I was like grinning ear to ear, like, oh my God. Like, I had a Batmobile when I was like 8, the Corgi, the little metal. And I just, it pains me. I wish I could share some of my enthusiasm for this stuff. I try and do it on John's show and this show and all that. But I mean, I don't know how to combat this sort of entrenched negativity that I think has permeated fan circles. And I understand it from a storytelling standpoint, because we have these IPs that used to be the vision of one individual that is now corporately owned. And so the whole reason to continue it on is not, it doesn't come from a place of, we have a great Star Wars story to tell. No, we have to make more money off our IP. Well, you'd make more money if your story was great, but
exactly. And you know what I think? I think one of the biggest things is, like, said, is that people want to be heard. They just don't know how to really properly communicate the emotions. Like, they don't. Like, they want to be heard, and they have a space where they can be heard. But it's just that, how do I convey what I'm feeling without insulting? And sometimes, like, we're human beings. We're impulsive. Sometimes we just say things without really, like you said, thinking about thinking about it, instead of internalizing and say, okay, let me just, I know how I want to say it, so let me just find the words. We're reactive. We react off of things so quickly. And then it's like, oh, shit, maybe I shouldn't have said that. You know what I mean? Like, that's just the way it is. A lot of people find a space where they can be heard, but it's that they don't really know how to really control the emotions behind the words to say things, and be more, I want to say, sensible when you say it. Have the common sense to know that there are people out there whose feelings you may hurt. You know what I mean? You got to kind of think about that first. I mean, and we're all guilty of it. We do things, especially when the emotion, if we're emotionally charged, we're going to react. Unless we can just sit there and say, you know what, wait. Let me just read this again. Let me read it. And maybe I can find a way to understand what this person's saying. And maybe I can ask them. If they double down, then I know what they truly meant. But if they explain it a bit differently, then I'm like, okay, cool. We can find a way to kind of, just talk it out, come to some type of resolution and just move on from it. You know what I mean? That's just how it is. But nowadays, people are just so reactive, and they, to have a space like this where they can't really talk to other people, they hold it near and dear. So again, it is a sensitive, like, I never knew, literally standing on the sidelines in the back, bro, before I even started streaming, I never knew how sensitive the community could actually be
Yeah.
until I became a part of this community, bro.
Yeah.
I never thought it was as sensitive on this particular level until I was thrusted into this position. And I'm like, wow, really? It's like sometimes I wish I can unplug and go back to life before I started doing this, because it's like, yeah, literally, like sometimes I'm like, you know, and then I would never know what goes on behind the scenes. I would never see some of the stuff that I see in the chat. I can just enjoy the figures and just keep it at that. It's gotten to the point that I don't even participate in groups. Any group that I've ever been a part of, I've never gone in. I'm only in my group half the time because I'm trying to control it. But other than that, I don't go in because it's just like there's always negativity that's flowing around in these groups. And I'm like, yeah, I just think I don't want to look at it. I can't.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think that my resolution for 2023, and I got it out of my system, was to not you know, and I'm usually not angry, and a lot of people, look, I'll tell you something, I have put my neck out on this Picard season 3 thing, and I've seen it now a third time, and totally finished. And it gets better every time I see it. Now, there's going to be a lot of people. I've set myself, I painted a big target right here. and there are a lot of people, and a lot of people are going to hate it anyway, and they're going to come gunning for me.
There are going to be videos saying why RMB was wrong about Picard.
There will be. And what's really interesting is, I think I didn't talk about it on this stream because we haven't done it, but a couple weeks ago, I saw it again with, I would say, one of the highest ranking people in Hollywood. It doesn't get any higher. People like, it's not that I'm trying to be coy. I just would I would never use this person's name in any public forum at all. But let's just say that I helped facilitate this person to see Picard season 3. And it doesn't get, and what I've discovered about him, or I should say them, what I discovered about them was we've interacted, but I didn't know this person. Not only are they incredibly high ranking in the Hollywood pecking order, like to the point where it doesn't get any higher. This person was an admiral level uber nerd. And of all the people I've met in the business, they were the nicest, most personable, but their knowledge, man, was so fucking deep. I couldn't believe it, which made sense when I learned about their history and how they ascended to where they're at. But this guy was the real deal. Mm-hmm. And anybody in Hollywood that works in the business would have been like, holy shit, how really? And having the conversation and watching this person respond to, this person watched all 10 hours of Picard season 3 with me in one sitting, and freaked out. I mean, uber admiral nerd level. But he knows and went into detail about why it was great. And what was interesting was, I knew I've kind of been in a no one else. I can't talk to anybody about it because there's nobody. But this person was very interesting because quantified what I'd been feeling about it, but I hadn't really stated because I hadn't had anybody to talk to. And all the things this person was talking about were all the interpersonal relationships that run through that has been completely missing. We've been getting fake Star Trek where it's all, they think platitudes and speeches are what people want from Star Trek, when really it's about the interpersonal relationships the characters have. And that's what Star Trek Picard season 3 has. And what's been frustrating is there's been so many people that have been saying to me, well, the damage is done, Rob. We're not going to go back. And I'm like, you know what? The damage is never done when a great story is told. Yeah. It doesn't matter what came before. Like, canonically, because Star Trek Discovery and Star Trek Picard and Strange New Worlds have completely destroyed all of Star Trek canon. There's nothing, they should just come out and say they're in a different universe. But they've done, which basically Picard season 3, there's an argument that can be made. It does take place in a different universe, the real Star Trek universe. But what I don't understand is been getting pushback from people like, I'm never going to watch. Like Doomcock and I were going back and forth on Twitter, and he's like, I will never watch this because I'm not going to support Alex Kurtzman. And it's funny because while Alex Kurtzman's company produced Picard season 3, Alex Kurtzman himself really had nothing to do with it other than to give Terry Matalas free reign. And if something is good, even if it comes on the and I think of it like a run on a comic book. Like if you love Daredevil, Frank Miller comes on, and then when he leaves the book, the next creator is not so great. But if you love Daredevil, I mean, I don't know if that's true. I'm just using that as an example. But if you love Daredevil, you keep buying it, and the storylines in comics can be wildly divergent in tone. Like I read X-Men for 30 years. The Chris Claremont that was writing X-Men in the early 80s was not the Chris Claremont that was writing, he's repeating storylines. And even though he's Chris Claremont, I still love the X-Men. But when it was rebooted or Scott Lobdell was writing it, or, just as an example, or somebody, Ann Nesenti was writing Daredevil and Typhoid Mary and all that, comic book storylines, I want a whole run. I like the character, but there's terrible runs on comics that I love. Like Moon Knight has been wildly divergent in terms of it's different, but I still like the character. So it drives me crazy when people are saying to me that they will not watch Star Trek Picard season 3 because of what came before. And I'm like, this is a different story. Like why would you deprive yourself of and I'm not saying people should listen to me. And I don't think Star Trek Picard season 3 is by any means perfect. What is? But the character interplay in Star Trek Picard season 3 is the first time we've seen real, in my mind, Star Trek interplay between characters in almost 20 years. That feels genuine, and it carries through the entire 10 episodes. And there are moments in Picard season 3 that I absolutely love, but I'm getting all this pushback from people. I'm like, it's a TV show, or it's a streaming series. Just watch it. If it's not for you, go watch Wednesday again. I mean, it's and yet the pushback is like, look, for me, it's a return to form. I've been a Star Trek fan for a long time, both personally and professionally. And I think that and I would hope that somebody, what's funny is I would have thought, well, at least if I'm a voice of reason when it comes to Star Trek, if I say something is good, it's good. You can take it to the bank. But I get this terrible pushback, and I'm like, wow, I mean, I thought you respected me. But no, I mean, and it's weird.
I think that it just boils down to like, not everybody's going to see what we may see in things, and it's okay. It's completely okay. It's okay. And maybe it just may take people longer to see it. You know what I mean? We have a passion for certain things that we want others to kind of understand that passion and see things through our eyes from our, like Obi-Wan would say, from a certain point of view. You know what I mean? It just, I've grown to realize it just doesn't happen that way. My vision, it definitely isn't going to be somebody else's vision, and it's fine. And I just leave it at that and just move forward. You know what I mean?
And look, somebody in the chat, Star Trek Picard seasons 1 and 2, both seasons were god awful. I hated them. As a matter of fact, I mean, they really, honestly, made me angry. Discovery, Strange New Worlds. The only thing I will say this: Prodigy is pretty good.
Okay.
I like the animated show. It's pretty good. As it's gone along, it's even gotten better. But yeah, I'll tell you, things make me angry. But anyway, Binary Sunset Media says, Lael and would love to have you on our channel sometimes. How can I reach you? Well, you guys are on all kinds of social media. Yeah,
you can meet me on. Or you can actually find me on Instagram, 16scaleman. There. You can definitely reach out to me through that. And yeah, I'd love to have those conversations and sit back and chat.
200 Watt Studio says, Happy New Year. Let's have grand physical media in 2023, and goes on to say that X-Men 2 is my favorite of the X-Men films. The dam busting scene was fantastic. I actually got to talk with the Skotak brothers, when I worked on Bob Burns' final Halloween show, and I loved hearing their stories. The Skotak brothers were great. As a matter of fact, one of the Skotak brothers was married to Dorothy Fontana, who was one of the original writers. She recently passed away, but worked on the original Star Trek. And the Skotak brothers did all the miniatures, like they work for Cameron. Aliens, Skotaks are all over that.
Yeah.
I love their work, which is great. So yeah, 200 Watts Studio, that is very cool. Tom Jr. Jackson wants me to serenade you with some Copacabana. No, I won't do that now, but that is my go-to. That is my go-to karaoke song, which I love. Wesley Namila says, Rob, movie magic still exists. Jungle Cruise, Cruella, La La Land, Avatar 2, and The Batman. Rob, you just need to dig for it. Awe and wonder is all around us. Oh, I believe that. Believe in the movie magic of Indiana Jones 5. Oh, that person, that Admiral level geek that I said that I had met, I asked this person who would know. I said, is Indiana Jones 5, is Dial of Destiny good? And they said, it's really good. And I'm like, that's all I need to know. That's all I. And I was in a position this person would not have lied at the time.
Right.
Would not have. So that's cool.
I just heard from a friend of mine who's basically an editor who said that, he said, bro, the Flash is amazing. Like everybody keeps saying that, bro.
Dude. The word around town is Flash is great. Great. Everyone's been saying that for a long time, and I'm glad that Ezra Miller got the help that he needed and all that. I can't wait. I forgot to mention that's one of my. I can't wait. And Michael Keaton coming back as Batman.
Yeah.
Do you think we're gonna get are we gonna get a new DX 6-scale Michael Keaton that's bigger?
Yes.
But he'll be a Flash Batman, I think.
I definitely believe we will, bro.
Because Hot Toys did announce that that Flash is one of their licenses that they have.
I believe it. There's no way I believe it. I definitely believe that we're going to see that, and that's what I'm saying. Like I need that version, period. But I think we're going to see.
Yeah. David Gonzalez says the movie sucked, but that Wonder Woman 84 golden armor figure looks dope. I have it. It's great. That and Captain Britain, Peggy Carter 6 scale. I haven't got that yet, but I got to get. You have it, don't you?
Yes, I do.
It's great.
Yes, I do.
And
I have that. I have the Hydra Stomper and
Steve
and Cap.
Yeah, I got to get that too. Yeah. And then David says, and I could hear immediately you were Moses, meaning the voice of Moses in Tango Shalom. Well, thank you for watching, David. I appreciate that. Then David goes on to say, Fandom was united for the Snyderverse, should have stayed united to force more studios to listen to their creatives. Looking at you, Disney, where are Star Wars movies? Oh, they're coming. They're coming. But yeah, I mean, but even the Snyder fandom is not certainly immune to a lot of what we're talking about.
Yeah.
And I really hope, I'm really excited for Zack Snyder's Rebel Moon series. And I really hope
he's been pushing that,
and I really hope that the Snyder fandom gets behind him in support of his work. Because, look, the fact that we got the Snyder cut of Justice League was a huge win for everybody involved. All the release of Snyder Cut fandom, they should feel, I mean, it was almost like getting the third season of the original series of Star Trek after it was canceled. I mean, it was fans that saved that. And while it wasn't the greatest season, it was great to get that back. And I thought, I really love the Snyder Cut of Justice League.
Yeah, bro. I did too. It just, you know what? It's the energy that came with it, I guess, for everybody or just for the studio itself. There's going to, again, bro, like the direction that they're taking now, I'm just hopeful. That's the only thing I'll say without really going into too much. I'm hopeful. Some of the decision making is questionable, definitely. But again, if they have a plan, as long as it's a solid plan and as long as the writing is great, then I'll move with it. But I just want to see, because a lot of what I'm seeing right now just doesn't make too much sense to me. But again, I trust the process. You have to trust the process and just let it basically unfold. And I do understand some of the reasoning behind it. If you want to kind of get rid of the drama, and start fresh, then do it. Do it as long as you create something that's going to be true to the IP and it's going to do it justice. I'm with it.
Yeah, I agree. Our boy Jermaine King says this. Jermaine's been a longtime fan. I didn't realize this, Jermaine. He says, I've been stuck on a couch recovering from a leg fracture since January 13th, 2022.
Get better, brother.
I definitely depend on y'all to keep me from going insane.
Get better. Crazy Eddie, insane. Everybody from New York, you know what that is.
Crazy Eddie, yeah. Isn't there a documentary about that guy or something?
I don't know. I'm not sure.
I think I saw that there might be. Binary Sunset Media says, love ya.
Oh, love you too.
Kelly Rhodes, who's a PGS member, a PGS hero for 8 months, says, Rob is a real Trek fan. You should check out the Prime series, The Rig. Okay. It has a great cast with a plot that can be right out of traditional Trek. First of all, a lot of the Robert Baratheon is in it. Ian Glenn, who from Game of Thrones. I watched it, and I finished it. It's a little hit and miss for me, and but I really enjoyed watching it. And people talk about. It's funny. People talk about less than some reviewers have said. Well, it takes place on an oil rig at sea. Mm-hmm. I mean, look, of course there's some ropey CG. I mean, it's an oil rig, but it was I liked it. I liked it. I thought it was a good series. The characters are really good. I mean, I don't know if the authors, the people that wrote it, even know what was going on. I mean, they kind of did. It had an element of The Expanse in it. I liked it. I thought it was good, Kelly. I liked it. Mm-hmm. Oh, this is a good question. Al Renshaw asks, which MCU property do you think we will get introduced to an X-Men member? Would you rather first see them as a team or individually? Members first. Here's Dudette. We've already met X-Men. Mm-hmm. Wanda is an X-Man. Quicksilver has been an X-Man. Mm-hmm. So I know they were called Miracles in Age of Ultron, but we've seen, and of course, Miss Marvel's a mutant.
Yeah.
And, I don't know how they're going to do it. I'm very curious.
We're seeing it. It just depends on how they spin it. You know what I mean? So they're giving us subtle hints here and there. I think if to be quite honest, I think we're going to see more of it definitely in Secret Wars and probably in King Dynasty.
We're going to see everything in Secret Wars.
Yeah.
They're going to I wouldn't be surprised if Shaquille O'Neal plays Steel in Secret Wars again.
Right.
I mean,
right.
Hey,
right.
Hey, James. Kevin Feige's like, hey, James, Shaquille O'Neal's not going to be Steel again in the new DC universe. Can we borrow him?
I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, I think everybody's going to show up.
I wouldn't be surprised.
But what do you guys think? Do you guys think we're going to get an X-Men? I mean, obviously with this 2025 thing, I really wonder how they're going to introduce the X-Men into the MCU, or maybe they're going to create a new universe that's just the X-Men. I don't know.
That's like, okay, so Rob, you've been preaching this for a while. And I am a believer in your theory that, all that what we're seeing right now is on a definite multiversal scale. There are some stories that are kind of tied in together, but there's other stories that are completely deviated from it because it is in a different universe. So I believe that. I do believe that, things after Endgame have definitely affected the spectrum and that the X-Men have been here. And maybe they've been in hiding for so long, and because of the aftermath of Endgame, now they're probably seeing even more pop up, and it's kind of unmasking everything. And they're like, wait a minute, they're starting to know who we are, like our cover's blown type of situation. And they're making subtle hints. They did that with Miss Marvel, they've done that with Wanda, so it's just a matter of time. I think that, again, like we're all predicting, we're going to see something major in Quantumania. We're going to see something there, definitely.
I think we're going to see.
We're going to see
Fantastic
something
Four.
major. Exactly. We're going to see something major in the Marvels as well. So I anticipate that. And some of the TV shows that are actually up and coming, we're going to see. So again, they're going to, sprinkle it around there just a bit.
Well,
just be patient.
Let me ask you both of this. Let's say in the middle of, take your pick, whatever Marvel movie you're in the middle of, and it cuts to, and there's just a thing on the bottom of the frame that says Upstate New York, Graymalkin Lane, and you're traveling down, and there is Xavier's School for Gifted Youngsters, and what if it's just there? Yeah. And you've got the original core group, you've got that classic team of X-Men, and they're there, and they just move forward. And I either maintain that that mutants have always been here, they just have not. Nobody knows that they're there, and there are times when Hydra thought that Wanda and Pietro got their powers from an Infinity Stone, when really they were mutants. Yeah. They were mutants the whole time, but no one had identified the Homo superior gene, the mutant, the X gene yet. And they've always been here, because we know, like, from Captain Marvel, which took place in the 90s, that they went back far, and that I mean, and mutants, if they've stayed underground and they've been here the whole time, the world just doesn't know they exist, meaning the greater MCU doesn't know they exist. And it would be really interesting, because if you played it that way, you could play out Avengers Annual 10 when Rogue shows up and steals Carol Danvers' powers, and throws her off the Brooklyn Bridge, or and you could do that, and there's that's the first appearance of the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants, and I think people would buy into it. I mean, I think especially what we're seeing with both, or we did see with Pietro before he passed, that version of him. Anyway, again, the Tesseract only heightened the abilities that they had in them. It only basically exposed it. So, and we know that with most mutations in mutants, once they hit a certain level of maturity is when the power itself manifests itself. And this could have sped up that process. There's a lot of things that are happening throughout the universe right now that are exposing it. In the MCU, Wakanda has been here forever.
Yeah, and we know that Namor is a mutant, and we know
Namor is a mutant.
Yeah.
He's a big a high level mutant too. So they're mutants that they've been introducing. I forgot to even mention that. That's absolutely correct. So
yeah.
Are you a big X-Men fan?
I am a big X-Men fan. I like Magneto. I kind of want him to come back.
I pretty much can guarantee you, I think everybody that has played a Marvel character since 2000 is going to be in Secret Wars. I wouldn't be surprised if we see Ben Affleck as Daredevil. Because that's what it would be. I mean, can you imagine the Beyonders and Doctor Doom stealing, if they do anything like Hickman's version of Secret Wars, coming right off of Kang Dynasty? That's going to be insane.
Yeah, that's going to be crazy.
It's going to be crazy.
That'd be crazy.
RRTNZ says, "Hail Bob, Lael. Looking forward to Oppenheimer, Mission Impossible, Guardians of the Galaxy 3, and Picard Season 3. Not fussed about DC, MCU, or any other films and TV in 2023. Look, I think that we're getting. I think we're getting some. I'm looking forward to Shazam: Fury of the Gods. I'm looking forward to Blue Beetle. I'm really looking forward to Flash and Aquaman. So we're going to be getting, whether they don't continue those universes, I think we're going to get great movies. I mean, right?
Yeah, I agree. I definitely agree.
Let's see. Avatar 2 became the second highest grossing film of all time here in India, and will soon surpass Avengers Endgame, which is incredible. That's amazing. That's from AK Films.
So where are we at numbers wise with Avatar 2?
It's past. It is now the 9th highest grossing movie of all time. It passed
1.5 billion.
Yeah, it just passed Avengers, the first Avengers.
So And so let me ask you, because I know John doesn't think that this film's going to hit 2 billion.
It is going to hit 2 billion.
He's like right off the bat.
Definitely going to hit 2 billion.
No,
maybe
because
more.
bro, like we went to the theaters today, and people are still buying tickets for Avatar. Like they're still wanting to see this film, and there's no competition for it, right?
Do you know what people are missing? I think about Avatar. At its core, it's about a mom, a dad, their family. One of them is an adoptive daughter, and their kids. Their 2 kids, and then their crazy cousin Spider. Yeah. And at the end of the day, at the end of the day, it's a family film. And yes, there's action. Yes, there's violence. Yes, there's all kinds of craziness. But it espouses. The thing is, people don't understand that James Cameron, not only does he provide the great visuals, but he provides very meat and potato. People, well, it's like Ferngully or Pocahontas or whatever. He takes classical storytelling. He makes it that we've all heard variations on that theme forever. And then he gives us the whiz bang experience of these movies when you go to it and you're like, that was amazing.
Yeah.
And another thing, people don't understand that James Cameron understands the thing that like Steven Spielberg knows how to move the camera. But James Cameron knows I don't think I've ever seen a director that knows exactly which shots to use. Like as a film editor, I'm always looking at his movies, and he's been one of the editors on Avatar 1 and Way of Water. He just understands instinctually what shots he needs to get for a success. Like if you watch a scene of his, the shots he chooses are masterful. Spielberg is the same way. He understands how to like stage a sequence. There are very few directors that understand instinctively how to shoot a scene, what shots you need to do, and how to put them together to be almost perfect. Now, I think Way of Water is a little sloppy for James Cameron. But I'm sure because I've heard that the cut of Avatar 3 is like 9 hours long, and then they have to finish it and if you think about the
cut it down,
it's so I'm sure a lot
if
of
it's
that
9 hours long. Damn, that's going to be a lot on the cutting room floor.
Yeah.
Like literally, and pieces that he would probably be like, I don't want to, this needs to be here. Like, wow, that's incredible.
Well, and think about it. I mean, they have to render all of those shots. Like, I would imagine that the movie comes out Christmas of 2024. I'm willing to bet that because most of Avatar 3 has already been shot, that they're looking at the actual render time that it's going to take to finish these shots. I bet they're worried if they can make their release date even now 2 years out, because the actual, like, say there's 6,000 shots and every shot's an effect. And you have 6,000 shots and you only have 750 days or whatever to finish them. That means you have to finish, like, say 3 or 4 shots a day.
Yeah.
How are they going to do that? There's only so much computing power and effects technology and effects technicians in the world.
Yeah.
So
I think that one thing that I liked about Avatar 2 was, and you did mention about the family and everything, was ironically that spider character who's played by, I always have to look up his name because I don't know who he is, Jack Champion. I feel like he's the breakout star of the film because of the decision that he had to make. And I'm not going to say the decision that he had to make, but for those of you who have seen it, I thought it was really profound what he had to, the choice that he had to make after everything he saw and had gone through. And I loved the relationships between fathers and sons in this film in particular.
Yep. And that's something people don't talk about.
They don't.
Yeah, it was outstanding. I felt that was incredibly important. The roles of fathers and sons, whether it's your biological son or your adopted son, whether, I also learned that babies cannot be put in cryosleep.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Great to know, this is a science fiction film. This has a lot of science, and it's got the idea. And previously, before we all saw Avatar Part 2, I was talking to you about the idea of, isn't it fascinating to think about them having more connections than the human brain? And I had said that I thought that we were going to see things, that the Na'vi can do things that we haven't even seen or even scratched the surface. And we did get that in this film. I thought it was like they delivered on that promise, which we're naturally expecting to learn more about their world. And they probably have a few sister worlds, I'm guessing they do. But the Na'vi have, this technology from from us, I don't know how they're describing the humans in this, but are they Earthlings? I'm not sure. But the point is that they have our technology now, and it's been a while. So, I think that's a very interesting thing, but it's also very interesting that what they're doing with the Navi, bodies, these avatars, and trying to, I don't understand all the details. We had some people that existed in this story and they couldn't explain everything about where they came from, which is fine. It's okay.
Well, Kiri, the Sigourney Weaver character, I mean,
yes.
I think first of all, I think that Pandora is alive. I think that the planet of Pandora is like a giant brain, because Cameron remade Solaris with Steven Soderbergh. And Solaris, the original. So for those of you who don't know, if you're science fiction film fans,
yes.
There's a Polish science fiction writer named Stanislaw Lem. And in the early 70s, Andrei Tarkovsky, the great Russian filmmaker, adapted Solaris. It's often called the Russian answer to 2001. And I love Solaris. It's one of my favorite science fiction movies. And in that movie, there's a space station that's orbiting the planet Solaris, and shenanigans happen on this space
Viola
station.
Davis is the doctor, I think, in it. And,
yes, and Chris.
Clooney.
Well, that's so Chris Kelvin in the Russian version, this astronaut goes up, and everybody on the space station is seeing visions. I won't get into it more than that. Well, then Cameron and Steven Soderbergh remade Solaris, and I guess it's an old movie, so I'm spoiling it, but the planet Solaris is alive. It is in itself. The whole thing is alive, and the way it's communicating is the visions these people are having. So having James Cameron produce that movie, to me, I think that Pandora, and they're going to get more into this, is, I mean, they've already said that Iowa is, I think the fifth movie is called, I don't know, The Search for Iowa or something, but they're going to find out that Iowa is a living entity, which would make sense. And I think that Iowa itself is where Sigourney Weaver came from. That's like when Grace, they tried to take Grace and move her into the Avatar body like they did with Jake Sully. It didn't work because she was dying. But as a result of that, Iowa was able to look inside the human physiology for the first time and go, oh, okay, I'm going to, and I was like, I don't understand what this new threat is. I don't understand. These people they're not connected to me. So I'm going to figure out their physiology. And it's not so much a virgin birth. It's just that because there is a parent, and Iowa put herself into the Avatar body because she understood it, knowing that the Avatar was still alive. The Avatars were, it was a living, it just had no consciousness. And Iowa moved in there. They took her body back, and that's how Kiri was born. And that's why Kiri has powers. I mean, she's literally the physical manifestation of Iowa. Which
she has a connection to Iowa. She that. That's basically how she, again, she's a conduit at that point.
Or I think she actually is Iowa, but she doesn't know she is. She's almost like, imagine if Dark Phoenix was a good thing, and I think that's what her revelation is going to be, is that in a way she's Christ. She's God.
She's that person.
Not a virgin birth, but if Iowa is the god of Pandora, of that universe, the Pandoran universe, there's Iowa. And what she's done is she's given her only daughter, and that is the manifestation of her. That's why and I don't necessarily think she's going to be a savior, but I do think she's going to be sacrificed or crucified, or call it whatever you want, because once it's realized that that's who that is, there's going to be some people that aren't down with that.
And it is very interesting to even, looking at it from this perspective of something that seems quite natural to the Navi.
Right.
But, it's not something that's within our capabilities now to understand. And of course, Jake is the one who has maybe one of the best advantages here initially, because he fully went over to the Navi side, but he understands what it's like to be a human, and he can see those differences, which is something that's not, I'm not saying that they did a poor job of explaining what the differences are. It's just that you cannot explain it unless you are, really a Navi and have experienced that. And I think we will get a film where we'll fully understand what has happened to him, physiologically, and maybe even, mentally, when he became a Navi, because he's completely recognizable as soon as he opens his mouth. He sounds like Jake, the character.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, I'm looking at a Navi, but I'm like, yeah, that's Jake. He's that human guy from the military. And I think that that's very interesting that I've looked at it and I can hear, I'm like, that's Jake. That's not, but I think it's very interesting because we will get that movie where they'll explain the transformation and what it actually means to do that. But I also like that they decided to have, the spider character and some other humans who decided to stay behind.
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
Norm Spellman, Norm Power.
Yeah, they didn't want to, for whatever reason. I can't say all their reasons, but let's just say that they stayed behind, and that was really important because
and him gaining a son at the end, like gaining a son for what was. Well, I don't want to spoil it for people, but
the idea that there were other choices for these scientists.
Yeah,
they didn't all agree, let's say, with what was happening initially, and they stayed on for different reasons to understand what's going on. It is incredibly scientific to me, but also very miraculous because of what we're learning about them.
Well, I also think that have you guys seen the movie The Mission with Robert De Niro? Have you ever seen that movie from the 80s?
I remember a lot of rain in it. Is that the one with
No.
all the rain?
Well, The Mission's an incredible. It's a flawed movie, but it's pretty incredible. And Robert De Niro plays a character that undergoes. He basically finds God.
Yes.
Okay.
Quaritch is going to find God. Quaritch is the Robert De Niro character from The Mission.
Okay.
And I think that by becoming a Na'vi, and as soon as he plugged in, that is going to be obviously he was given a job. He's a man of duty, and like you said, he's Quaritch, but in an avatar body. He's going to be the person that's going to have that conversion, and he's going to become probably the most devout Na'vi of all. He's going to be the person that understands, which is classical. Again, it's classical storytelling, and I think that it's going to be really, really interesting because ultimately, I believe that James Cameron, who's gone to the bottom of the Mariana Trench, James Cameron understands that our Earth we have to take care of the planet, and the planet is at a tipping point. There are many people that want to politicize the issue. Whatever, we're going to deal with it one way or another. We can choose to deal with it one way or not. Cameron knows already because how many people have been down to I think down to the bottom of the Mariana Trench? Probably just about as many people have been on the surface of the moon. And I do think that the Avatar movies are the way. It's James Cameron trying to save planet Earth. He's making populist entertainment that people walk out of it and our awareness of the world around us, the planet we live on. He's got a little Gaia theory in there. He's dealing with environmentalism. Nobody wants to listen to. You know what? People on both sides of the aisle, Democrats, Republicans, anybody goes in. Everyone loves AK films. Avatar 2 became the second highest grossing film of all time here in India. One of the big problems that we're having is emerging economies. They're also some of the most egregious polluters. The Ganges River in India or whatever. And India is surpassed China as the most populous nation on earth. If Avatar is a huge success in India, and AK Film says it is, the Indian people who are going for entertainment they're like anybody else, they don't want to be preached to because everybody wants to live a life, but they watch Avatar and it's Cameron saving the planet. That's what he's doing. He doesn't want to go to congressional hearings. He doesn't want to. The Republicans, it took them 15 votes to elect the same guy they've been voting for 14 other times. It's our system and our way of life in this country is so weird and bizarre. Nobody wants to get anything done. Every single action is some political statement. Cameron's like, cut through all the bullshit. Here's what I'm doing. Watch my Avatar films, and I hope you get the message I'm trying to convey, which is that it's raining microplastics in New Zealand. By the way, that's true. Let's make sure it doesn't. Let's curtail the microplastics that are raining down on New Zealand, which is one of the most ecologically conscious countries on the planet. They don't even allow American nuclear vessels to dock there. You go to a beach in New Zealand, there's signs that say don't take too much fish out of the water. I mean, I love living there. I mean, I understand. If I could retire anywhere in the world, I know it's sleepy. People have said, well, you know, we went to New Zealand. It was a little boring for us. I could easily live in New Zealand for the rest of my life.
Yeah, beautiful place.
That's why he's making Avatar there.
Makes sense.
Binary Sunset Media says, Lael, I love you, bro. Keep in the game.
Thank you, man. Thank you so much, man.
And Binary Sunset Media also says, Rob, I'm there on Picard Season 3. We are alternative factor bros. That is, Binary Sunset is saying that he also has affection for what is considered one of the worst episodes of the original series. First season episode called The Alternative Factor that I will forever love. People hate it. My Inglorious Trexperts compatriots hate it. Shaky Jake 93 says, this show, okay, this is somebody on the John Campea show in the last week said watching the John Campea show is farming. We farm smiles from people. We are farmers of smiles. People who watch that show. And Shaky Jake 93 says, this show farms my smiles just as much as the John Campea show.
Oh,
That's what's up.
That is the nicest thing anyone could say.
Rob,
Rob, have you seen The Empty Man? It may be in my top 3 horror films. Happy New Year to all of you. I have seen The Empty Man. It was directed by David Pryor, who's a DVD special features producer. And if you guys haven't seen The Empty Man, it's hard. I bought the physical media from Stinky Tuna. I don't know if they're ever going to release it, but The Empty Man is great, and you won't know where it's going. I hope everybody watches The Empty Man. It's really good. Our friend Mario Lopez, all the way from Portugal, has been a member for 21 months. Hello, Mario. How are you? Jared Snyder says, Happy New Year's to the best network on YouTube and its best show.
Oh, thank you.
Keep up the positivity. Here's a contribution to the one-shot Blood Beach remake. For those of you who don't know, I was saying this the other night. I have a dream of remaking the 1980 horror film Blood Beach, but I want to do it in one shot, just like the Russian movie Russian Ark. I was talking about it the other night. I don't know if anyone will let me do it, but I have an idea, and it would work. Kelly Rhodes sends in a super chat and says, I totally agree with Rob that Phase 4, the movies are parallel universes. In the Shang-Chi end credit scene, Banner is in human form, not Professor Hulk. I think that's a parallel universe Easter egg. I agree. Al Renshaw says, we need Star Wars back on the big screen. I think we all agree. Don't you agree that's true?
Yeah. Yeah. And I think we're going to get it. I think we're definitely going to get it. You know, it is, you know, there's some project that I guess is what we're going to production soon. And I think we're going to get it. I think we will get it. I just hope that once we get it, and if it's excellent, it's, you know, pretty much accepted, you know, by the community. I will say that.
Yes, I agree. Oh, this is a good question. David Gonzalez says, what shows broke your heart to hear they were canceled? Mine are Altered Carbon and Stargate Universe. Man, I was so invested in those characters.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I loved Altered Carbon, the first season and the second season. So, yeah, that's too bad they discontinued that.
Yeah.
Do you have other shows? You know what show I dearly loved a show in the 80s called Wise Guy. And the star, the first season was the best, and it kind of went downhill. But Ken Wall left the show. They tried to replace him with Stephen Bauer, and it got canceled, which is unceremonious. But I wish they had brought back that. I wish they brought back. Kevin Wellborn says, Rob, I have The Empty Man on an official DVD. Kevin, come on, brother. Kelvin says, Kelvin, you've got to get the Blu-ray. The Blu-ray. But yeah, is there any shows you guys loved? Hey, I didn't want Miami Vice to end, and it did.
I didn't want V to end.
Oh, yeah. V got canceled. The show was bad. Oh wait, the new V or the old V?
The old V.
Okay, the original V.
Yes.
Man, yeah. I didn't want Automan to
and Manimal.
Automan, Manimal. I didn't want those shows to end, but they had to because
The
Automan
Incredible
was
Hulk.
yeah, man.
The Fantastic Journey and Jonathan Banks, Mike Armitage played he was in a movie, he was in a series called Outer World. There was some really bad sci-fi shows, but I loved him anyway.
Yeah, definitely.
Stubble McShave says, "Oh, hey Stubble, I'm glad you're asking me this." Stubble says, "Have you read the tips I sent in for the Tom Conkle show?" No, but I have them right here. So here's from Stubble McShave. Stubble says, "I don't get why people complained about Avatar being Dances with Wolves in space. Creators have always combined the familiar with the strange, and it has always created good storytelling. Even William Shakespeare borrowed from the ancient Greeks and old myths. If you read the ancient Greek story of Eros and Psyche, you'll see the inspiration for several classic Disney stories. You have a clear parallel to Beauty and the Beast, Snow White, and other classic stories. It's the origin of fairy tales." Okay, let me ask you guys. People are always taking Cameron to task for the similarities to classic tales, and I'm like, but that's what he's trying to do. I mean, and as Stubble points out, classic fairy tales these classic stories get told and told and told again.
Yeah.
So do you think that that's a bad thing?
No. Not at all. Not at all. Not at all. I think the thing is, it's like, every story there's going to be some, recycled tropes in films. But I mean, if you see it from a totally different perspective, I guess with Avatar, I just don't see it because I think that it's Avatar is for its time. Every time it's released, the first film was for its time, even ahead of its time, even still to this day. And it's just following the same suit. You might see certain similarities. You might see certain things about the movie that remind you of something. If he's paying homage, that's admiration right there. Like, I mean, you're paying homage to something that, was fully functional and it worked, but you're just putting your own spin on it.
Yes.
And I think that he's done that well. So no, I don't definitely.
I totally agree. What do you think?
Yeah, it's too different. It's, I think that if you were really going to compare it to something like Dances with Wolves, you can't because it's fantasy and science fiction, which Dances with Wolves, it's not even in that realm. I think, I'm not quite sure why people associate it with it. It's okay that they do, but I don't think of them as the same at all. Dances with Wolves is more like a historical fiction, maybe.
Yeah.
I don't even think it's based on a true story, just, kind of events that did happen in the United States, and they focus on that. But nothing in Avatar happened here. So this is, let's be honest about it. It's so far out of the realm of that. And like I said, there's going to be other things that we may not even have seen before in science fiction. And that's what's really exciting me about Avatar. But I'm still very touched by the way that they're treating men and their emotions, and the way that men actually treat one another, that men that care about one another. It's good that they focus on that a little bit more, especially with a character that seemed to not care so much, only to find out that they did care after all. That felt so good, There's nothing in Dances with Wolves that is relatable to that moment for me. So I would say no.
Because like I said, what we're seeing is the relationship between family. Yes, there might be, like I said, like some indigenous similarities there, but there's nothing wrong with that. You know what I mean? I don't think if anything,
there's a reason. I mean, that's human history. That's human nature. It's people. And you know what? I don't think it's ever wrong to tell a story about a functional family. Here's a family. I mean, how often do we see, you talked about earlier about how you got a Cisco figure from X06, get Avery Brooks. One of the things that I remember, I've only bought one issue of Jet magazine, Lael, one issue. And I bought that issue because it had Benjamin Sisko on the cover, and it talked about the portrayal of a black single father who had a wonderful relationship with his son. I also have an issue of Transgender Quarterly, the only transgender magazine I ever bought that has Jadzia Dax on the cover. But but the and how often do you get a functioning family? You know, so often we
fully functioning,
a fully functioning family, and the Sully family, call them the Sully family, is a loving family that sticks together. And when Jake Sully says our family is it is our fortress. And in this day and age, when everyone is talking about, look, at the end of the day, the human animal is a pack. It's a family animal. And I watch so much of what's going on today where we deny the fact that we're part of nature. We deny the fact that our evolution has shaped us into who we are today. And I understand when we start talking about the differences between the sexes, and I have no problem with having women bosses and all that. But at the end of the day, the human animal, our biology has programmed us through hundreds of thousands, if not millions of years, to be a certain way. Yeah. And that is to have a mother and father and a family unit. And that's just how we're biologically, that's how we evolved. And I think in a way we tend to forget that in our desire to be self-actualized and chase after our dreams and all that. I get it. I understand. But our default position on the natural order of things is to be women have to bear children, men are fathers, and human civilization civilization begins with the family. You know, and this is not, I'm not some crazy, this is not some religious dogma or something I'm spouting. I'm speaking from a biological standpoint. A human child could not exist it would not survive on its own. It has to have, and the reason a mother gives birth and a father protects that mother, because when a woman has had a baby, she's in a vulnerable position. So a man, and I'm speaking in biological terms, in the animal world, a male protects the female and their cub. And it's funny because we've spent a lot of the last 100 years trying to move away from that idea. But I think everybody knows that deep down inside. Now, this doesn't mean you can not, I'm not saying that these are the only things that are true, but it's almost like everything, look, our birth rates are plummeting because people aren't getting married anymore. And the fact is, whether it's China, whether it's Japan, whether it's the United States, the countries that our people are reproducing, like India, you know, they still have very strong family units and they have very strong ideas about perpetuating family. As the West, as our civilizations become more, call them whatever you want, modern, we are moving away from the family dynamic. That is going to bite us in the ass in 50 years. And
that's what I'm saying. Like it's such a loaded topic.
Yeah,
like it is. It's so loaded because you have to be careful how you say it, but it's like
I'm speaking about it from a strictly biological standpoint.
Yeah, from a biological standpoint, like there has to be a way. I mean, we have to look at that because the thing is, how do we evolve? Well, you know, how do we evolve and how do we reproduce? You know, how is there space to kind of create? I don't know. It's touchy. It's just real touchy.
Well, yeah, but that's the problem. You can't. I mean, you start discussing these things, and someone jumps into the conversation and calls you some kind of phobe. And it's like, look,
It's not. It's just talking about the biological, like you said, the biological aspect. How do we progress?
We have
forward?
Serious,
and I guess,
the male sperm rate, the production of viable sperm, has been plummeting in the last 200 years. It is. We're like 50%. I mean, forget what you think. We are going children of men style, losing the ability to reproduce because of the male sperm count across the planet, because of the pollution in our environment. We are literally, and if you look at some of these things, these numbers are as alarming as global warming. And it's terrifying to think that the human species maybe the planet had a built-in failsafe. We get to the point where we mess with the planet too much, and nature
it forces that evolution.
Yeah, and the thing is, we're still evolving, and we don't even think that we are. The fact that sperm counts are dropping is showing that there is a naturally occurring, maybe it's spurned by unnatural pollution of the environment, but it is alarming. And we're going to have to deal with it because there isn't going to be a workforce in 50 years that can run our civilization. And I mean, I don't mean to be a bummer or anything about that, but these are actual real things that people would like to talk about ideology and call you names on Twitter. We are in a real bind on this planet on many different levels, and it's not political. And, oh, it's just a theory. Sure, sure it is. Everything is just a theory. But one of the things I think that appealed about Avatar is that family unit, which is how many times have you seen a real functional family on screen? Like, I mean, it's in an alien sci-fi construct of Cameron's, but there's something to be said for that, because I think human beings ultimately we yearn for family, whether it's a family that you have or whether it's a family that you find. Like Vin Diesel, it's family. Meanwhile, at the Hall of Family, it's you either choose a family or you're born into a family. But family that's one of the great appealing things about The Godfather. That's why people love Yellowstone.
But also we learn in the story that you don't have to be around that family. You just have to meet them and know that you're related to them to make certain decisions that are important and will probably affect your life, profoundly going on. I think that was also very important. Obviously they told us the reason why the spider character was still on the planet, because they couldn't take him with them. And despite not going where maybe the rest of his biological family is, even when he was presented with a scenario of choice, it still had an effect on him and the other persons involved. And I think that was really interesting and important, because despite being separated by galaxies, light speed distances, I don't know how far away, when it came down to it, at the most important decision, it was one of the most important decisions of his life. They threw this kid onto the deck and he's watching what's going on around him. And he had to make decisions that most kids don't have to make.
And entirely counter, Spider has also grown up with the Na'vi and has seen this, and even Quaritch, there's that great scene in the movie where he's being basically tortured. Quaritch watches, and what I love is it's set up like Quaritch admires Spider, whether the original Quaritch was his father or not. The fact is, he says, I love when Stephen Lang says, "You got heart, kid. I'll give you that." And he says that again to Spider in this movie, because Quaritch is not, he seems like a mustache twirling villain, but he's a man of duty and honor, and he's principled. He's doing what he was hired to do. But his conversion, and it's coming. And Spider saving his life, he's not stupid. He'll realize that if Spider did not grow up with the Na'vi, he would not have saved Quaritch's life. And now that Quaritch...
I wasn't going to say that, but it does kind of remind me a little bit of the Emerald Forest as well. I know it's not exactly the same story, but...
No, but it's similar. John Borman, it's similar.
Because that part where he finally finds his long-lost son, and he's kind of looking at him. You remember that part where they're looking at each other?
Yeah.
And he has to decide what he's going to do, and he just kind of walks away like this. It was this understanding. I think that's what happened.
Yeah.
I'm wrong. I'm sorry, but the point is that even though they hadn't seen each other, what was it, like 20 years in the case with the Emerald Forest? When he sees that if he does this and destroys this environment, his son will have no place to live, or even more profound than that. I just think that it was such a beautiful message, and what you saw was so important. So while it had different circumstances, it had that element of what is important to us as human beings in our relationships, in our lives, the people we love. And you don't have to be around that person all the time. He never stopped loving his son. When that man found out that that was his child, instantly he knew what had to be done, but his son also knew what he had to do. It was absolutely wonderful.
And on top of that, like considering the simple fact that Spider has, come up seeing that family camaraderie and wishing that he actually had that connection. Like he's wanted to have that connection. So to finally have that connection with someone who, in a sense, isn't the perfect candidate for that connection, but throughout, once Spider sees that, literally his father or in that form, is really trying to connect with him the best way he knows how, by teaching him like military tactics and ways to like, just those particular, that aspect of it. And on the simple fact that really, without really saying too much, he does show heart in the end when it comes to a decision that has to be made, or whether or not, to really stand up as, a figure in his son's life. So it's a lot. Even the back and forth, the tug of war with both of them, the ending, it was definitely a story again about parenting, about
Yes.
Yeah,
I want to about loss and finding, it's stuff like that. It was just on a broad scale, and it was amazing.
Yeah, and I think, and it's a positive message. You have a father and mother that love one another.
Yeah.
And yet they have disputes. They argue what is the best way to do. And I think that, part of the reason the movie catches on, and the genius of James Cameron all the way back to Terminator is, and if you look at Terminator, it's a love story. Yeah. Kyle Reese falls in love with, he's been in love with Sarah Connor even before he met her. His next movie is Aliens. Ripley's daughter, Amy, dies when she's in cryosleep for 57 years. The mother that she was supposed to be, it never happened. She meets Newt, is a mother to Newt, and what ends up happening? She comes face to face with another mother, the alien queen and her children. The Abyss. The Abyss is about a strange marriage. Mary Elizabeth Mastrantonio, cast iron bitch, one of the characters even calls her that, and Ed Harris. And their love, Ed Harris's refusal to take off that titanium wedding ring, saves his life.
Saves his life.
And also saves the planet when the fucking aliens realize they see compassion in him. And then jump ahead to Terminator 2.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Same thing, where the Terminator becomes a father figure. The T-800. Everything, these are, and people think about, and then James Cameron, I mean, even True Lies. About a husband and wife that can't quite get things together. Their marriage is estranged.
Keeping secrets.
Keeping secrets and all that shit. And what happens is they realize they love each other. They get back together. Then you jump to Titanic.
Jamie Lee
It's about another
Curtis.
love story. Two star-crossed lovers on the Titanic. But you've got other women like the unsinkable Molly Brown. And then he goes and makes Avatar. James Cameron is an old softy, man. He's a total fucking romantic. The Terminator is a love story. Terminator 2 is about absent fathers.
It's interesting because you talked about him going down into the Mariana Trench. And of course, people don't really live down there unless they're in a rig like in the Abyss or something like that. But generally speaking, humans are not down there. So he brought the love story there. I think it's very interesting that he chose to do that. And for me, I know that the creatures down there are, I don't know whether they're supposed to be that they're from here or aliens. It doesn't matter. The idea is that I think he was saying that there has to be some understanding about the importance of what's down there, and it needs to be preserved. As the guy said, he knew it was a one-way trip, and he didn't care. He didn't want this thing to be exploded. There was some importance to
he was saving everybody, not just the woman he loved, but other people. I mean, and that's something that people don't talk about in James. Here's the thing. We live in the most emotionally stunted time I've ever lived in my life. Whereas everything is commodified and real emotion. I mean, we're talking down home, and it's not even about values. It's about the fact that if you stand on a beach at magic hour and you watch the sun slip underneath the horizon, just stand there for 30 minutes with a glass of wine in your hand with the woman or man or whoever you love, the person that you love, and you watch the sun slip down beyond the horizon, that you cannot tell me that you're not emotional. You don't feel when you have your arm around the person you love and you watch the sunset on the beach with the water lapping up. These are deeply rooted genetic racial memories. I mean, the human race, the one race on this planet, the human race. There's one race of people. There are different ethnicities, but there's one race of people on this planet. All human beings have a response to that. It's biologically built into us. James Cameron is appealing to that. It's appealing to both the animal brain and the animal emotional center, the core of humanity. And that's why his movies make money. And the problem is not many creators, I mean, and it's funny to say that because if you were to say, Terminator fucking kicks ass, dude, I'll be back. But that movie is really about Kyle Reese and Sarah Connor and the love they find. That's what lets them triumph over the Terminator. And it seems so silly. People forget that about James Cameron movies. And it's totally there in Avatar. Avatar is Romeo and Juliet. You know, it's literally people from the Capulets and the Montagues, the Sky People and the Amatacayo and whatever. It's all right there.
Yeah.
And
I wouldn't mind another movie like The Abyss. I mean, I know he's capable of any. I know Cameron.
The
can do
Abyss is
anything.
great, and I can't wait. It's supposed to come out in 4K. I hope the director's cut comes out with the half an hour stuff with the tidal waves and all that. But The Abyss is beautifully made.
Yes.
Yeah, it is. It is.
I still remember when the Abyss was made, and they made such a big deal about the faces in the water and how, you know, like how much time they spent with that. And it looked like kind of an arduous film to me because they were working with these underwater rigs.
Oh my God.
90% of the film.
If you want to watch, okay, it might be on YouTube. One of my very favorite special features on any DVD ever, because The Abyss has never come out on Blu-ray or anything, it's called Under Pressure, Making the Abyss. Because The Abyss was one of the most difficult film shoots. For those of you who don't know,
even with the technology,
James Cameron saw an unfinished nuclear reactor. And he goes, in North Carolina, he's like, you know, I could build my set in that reactor and we can fill it up with water. Fucking insane shit. And if you watch Under Pressure, Making the Abyss, you will not believe it. And I don't know, I don't even know if Disney will put that documentary out because Ed Harris talks about how he thought he was going to die at one point. I mean, it's insane how they made that film. And so Under Pressure, Making the Abyss. And by the way, while you're at it, go look up The Making of Tron, directed by yours truly. It's not as good as Under Pressure, Making the Abyss, but if you like Tron, hey, I made that.
Tron, bro.
It's a feature-length documentary that I directed and edited, so check that out. But and James Cameron is, I mean, the guy at his core, he is a total romantic. And even though he's been married like 4 times, he's got 5 kids now, but he still believes.
Wasn't he? He was married to Linda Hamilton at one point, wasn't he?
He was. He was married to Linda Hamilton.
Yeah.
He was married to Gail Ann Hurd. And he was married to Catherine Bigelow. Now he's married to Susie Amos, who is in The Usual Suspects, actually.
Okay.
But they've been married for a long time. So go look. By the way, Under Pressure, Making the Abyss might be, along with Hearts of Darkness, A Filmmaker's Apocalypse, and Lost in La Mancha, the making of you know, what's Tilting at Windmills, you know, Dean Quixote. Dean Quixote was a movie I edited. Don Quixote. Terry Gilliam's. Those documentaries are amazing, but Under Pressure, Making the Abyss, watch that movie because it probably, because they would never, it was put on early on in the DVD realm because The Abyss has only ever come out on DVD, but that documentary, I don't know if Disney will release it on disc because it's got some questionable things.
Yeah.
By the way, Nay sent in a super chat and just said Hannibal. Do you mean Hannibal the historical figure? Hannibal Lecter? I don't know what you mean, but thank you for the support. And Binary Sunset says, old. I didn't want Space Above and Beyond to end. That was a 1-season show. and that would have been great. I love that show. Our friend Sonny Dominguez, the king of squirting, sends in a tip and says, is there... I know, you have to have been here. Is there a TV actor you were surprised never became a film actor? I always thought John Stamos had it and could have been a huge movie star. Also, Tiffany Amber Thiessen had that same star quality. I love Tiffany Amber Thiessen. I love to death. And John Stamos. Is there a TV actor you felt should have made the transition to film?
Man. That's a good question. That is actually a good question because I think everybody that I wanted to see make that transition to film has done it. So I don't know. Especially, you know what? It's hard now because you have most film actors who, are actors, on film who are making the transition to, television, short, series and stuff like that. So it's I don't know. It's hard to really think about it. I really think I got to think on that one. I really do.
I don't have an answer either.
Yeah.
Let me see. I'm trying to think.
Give us 10 minutes to think.
Yeah, I don't know. I honestly, that's hard. It's yeah, I don't know. I have no idea.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of TV actors, that's hard to say. I mean, what's interesting is we grew up in a time like where television and movies were very different things.
Yes.
Yeah.
There was a prejudice against television actors moving into cinema. And that doesn't exist anymore because streaming has elevated people. Like, well, streaming shows, HBO shows are more prestigious. So if you're on an HBO show, you saw a lot of crossover. I mean, when Billy Bob Thornton, who I've never met him, but I've heard he's a little prickly, when he comes over and does a show like Goliath, I thought it was great. And we're seeing a lot more of that. I mean, I think the last holdouts, even though they began in TV, like if Brad Pitt went back to television and did a streaming show, even though he doesn't make a lot of his movies, Brad Pitt has not been in a lot of huge movies, but he's been in a lot of movies that people love. If Tom Cruise ever did a streaming series, actually, I will guarantee you he will do a streaming series at some point because he's 60. I think Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 2, which will be Mission Impossible 8, will be the end of his action oeuvre because he's just physically going to hurt himself. And I think Tom Cruise in his 60s is going to become a very deft comedian because I think he's going to make a Les Grossman movie. I honestly, I swear to God, they talked about that. Chris McQuarrie is one of the smartest people I've ever met. And he's a very smart guy. And it's great that they hooked up back on Valkyrie, which Chris wrote and Brian directed. But I think that they're going to make, in the next 10 years, once they finish these big movies, I think Tom Cruise is going to embrace, he's pretty fucking funny. And, he's all about the work. And look, I've only met him. I met him once, but I talked to him for an hour. And I was incredibly impressed with that guy. And I would not be surprised if he makes that Les Grossman movie, because if you watch Tropic Thunder, he is so funny in that movie.
Yeah, he was funny in it, yeah.
And I could see him coming back and doing TV or doing a big streaming series.
Playing that character.
Yeah, but I think they're going to make a Les Grossman movie. I really do. I think it would be great. But yeah, I don't know. It'll be TV to movies. I think that like Tiffany Amber Thiessen, she was incredibly beautiful in like Saved by the Bell, and then she really didn't go much further than that because
she didn't go past what was that? Showgirls?
No, that was Elizabeth Berkley.
Oh, that was Elizabeth Berkley.
Was also on who was also on Saved by the Bell. Yes. Yeah, poor Elizabeth. Yeah. She was in Any Given Sunday and then disappeared. I mean, I've never seen somebody who was so damaged by a movie as she was, because I mean, working with Paul Verhoeven, I mean, they and I love Paul Verhoeven, but Elizabeth Berkley was done dirty. Yeah. They did her no favors. But you know what? Hey, Showgirls has become It has
Cult
become
classic?
a cult. Yeah, I wouldn't call it a classic, but certainly a cult movie.
It's becoming a cult. It has a cult following. Put it that way.
By the way, I have a great box set Dieter got me from Germany, so thank you, Dieter. I appreciate that. Jaimin D says the late Chuck Connors. I loved Chuck Connors. For me, was very underrated and should have been a bigger star. That perhaps he was specially in movies. His performance in Rifleman. Come on now. Well, Jaimin, you're dating yourself.
Yeah.
Chuck Connors was a great. I love Chuck Connors, but he was much more TV. He was in movies too, but totally. He was great in the Rifleman. Now, 200 Watt Studio said David Caruso never transitioned from TV to film. Actually, it's the reverse. David Caruso started in film. I mean, if you look at David Caruso's story, he was like in movies like Abel Ferrara's King of New York. He had an incredible career as a character actor in movies. Then he went to do like CSI. I mean, he was in William Friedkin's Jade.
Yeah.
You know, he was leading, and he was in Friedkin's Jade, and then he found his niche in CSI and all that. But it was a bummer because Caruso, between why he thought he should go leave NYPD Blue after the first season and go back into movies, he ruined his whole career. But if you look at his, he was in First Blood. David Caruso was in First Blood. He was Brian Denny's second in command in 82. So David Caruso had this character actor arc, you know, and then he fucked it up. And then I mean, his first season in NYPD Blue is so good.
It is good, yeah.
He was so good.
Yeah.
And then but yeah, he was a character actor in film and then went to TV, and then he's in NYPD Blue, which is a huge hit, and then he quits after the first year because he wanted to do movies. And then he goes and he works for the director of The Exorcist in a movie written by Joe Esterhaus that tanked. That was the end of that. But now let me ask you both, ladies and gentlemen, it is almost 3:00 in the morning your time.
It is, Robert.
Yes, it is.
And
it's been a great show tonight.
A lot of fun. Let me before I let you go, first of all, where can people find you on social media?
Well, you can find me on my YouTube channel, Positive Fandom. Tomorrow I have my Sunday brunch show at 10:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, where we do all the parlay and the fandom. Monday, you can find me here on the Burnettwork for ladies of the PGS at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. On Tuesday, I'm doing a live watch party of the Golden Globes on my channel, Positive Fandom, at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm also having Cameron Pasha on my channel on Tuesday as well. We're going to be discussing The Ottoman Empire, which is a series on Netflix.
Wow.
Yeah, and on Friday, I'm going to be having Darth Plato on my channel as well. He and I are covering both the Napoleon series, which was a TV series, as well as Horatio Hornblower. So
I love that miniseries.
Yeah, it's the one with I love that miniseries too. So there's a lot going on, and of course, you guys can find me here. You can also sometimes find me on the 1/6 Scale Man Network,
which you'll find on Thursday. You'll be there Thursday for Uncivilized.
Absolutely. So, and you can also find me with Lorena Creel on her Toxic Male Appreciation show on Thursdays on her Twitch channel. So please do check it out, and thank you everybody for the support and kindness. Thank you, everybody.
And Lael, the man, the 1/6 Scale Man himself,
yes,
the man who owns the Jazz Inc. Millennium Falcon cockpit. Where can people find you?
Yeah, so you can actually find me at the 1/6. Come on, man. Like, how many people we have in it right now? How many people are in it right now?
Right now, there are 287 people right now in this
287 people. If you haven't already subscribed to both me and make sure you do so.
Now there's 292 people here.
292. So definitely, you can actually find me at the 1/6 Scale Man YouTube channel. I would appreciate that. Definitely on our way to, I'm on that journey to 4,000 subscribers. So basically make sure that you definitely help us out. Tomorrow, I actually have, what we got going on? Collectors Lounge International. So you can actually find me there at 12 o'clock. At 5:30, we are bringing back, this will be the first episode for 2023. We are bringing back Take Your Position. We'll be posing up. So yes, so we'll be doing that tomorrow at 5:30. We'll be actually just posing up and layering some figures and just showing you some tricks and stuff like that. So you can actually find us there tomorrow evening. Comic Book Talk with Friends on Monday. And then on Wednesday, Say What Wednesday, Uncivilized Scoundrels is Thursday. And Figure Flex Friday, of course. We're actually right now, we are doing a special giveaway where we are giving away, I've actually partnered up with my man, my bro, Marcos over there at Collector Zone. We are giving away the Iron Man Deluxe Origins Hot Toys figure.
Oh, that's a sweet figure, dude.
Yeah, definitely. So we'll be giving that away. All you have to do is become a member of the Figure Flex Friday group, as well as Collector Zone itself. I'm going to be putting up a video, which you will reply under the video why you like Iron Man so much. So we are definitely doing a giveaway for that. Cross-platform, so definitely stay tuned for that. But yeah, that's what we got going on, man. Definitely, if you haven't already subscribed, make sure you head over and subscribe to the 1/6 Scale Man YouTube channel.
By the way, I just want to say, with Lael wearing what he's wearing right now, I want to see Lael Rockwell starring in a Star Trek series as a captain of a starship.
Yes.
Look at that. You got that. You rock that command gold, dude, between the hair, the beard, the glasses, and that tunic. Come on,
do that.
Man.
And plus, you know what I'm waiting for? I'm waiting for that X06 Wrath-the-Con line, bro. I'm telling you.
Dude.
Bro, I am so excited. And then to find out that they're going to give us a Savick, bro. I was like,
they're doing 5 figures.
Yes. Bones.
I can't wait to get
Spock,
the Savick.
Kirk, Savick, and I think
Khan.
Yep. Yeah.
Yes, they are.
I'm excited.
X06 is killing it, man. And, they've done so many great things with the Star Trek license. And I've heard, Anthony. 1/6 Scale Mafia he's been getting me my figures too. He has the inside scoop, and they're gonna kill it. They're gonna kill all of us with
I can't wait. I can't wait.
I feel like one of the things
pockets, they're gonna be blowing up those pockets, bro.
Yeah, man. I always owe Anthony money. He's like, "What do you got coming in, man? Here's cash." I feel like he's my dealer.
Yeah, definitely, always. Here you go.
It is a very special production line, and
it is.
Quality
it is.
And what we're seeing is something we've all always wanted. I can't say enough about X06.
Yeah, definitely. And we got the 40th anniversary of Rob's favorite line coming out, from Hot Toys, and that's the 40th anniversary of Return of the Jedi.
It's true. No, but look, I still like. I mean, the characters. Now that's okay. Since you brought it, before I let you go, the Return of the Jedi line. We like. Yeah. What if you could get what we haven't like? What would you? What is Hot Toys going to release in this line?
Definitely, I want Disguised Leia from.
You want
we're going to get that. I want Bausch. So we're basically going to get Bausch.
Because they've already released Leia and the Ewok. There's not a lot left. I mean, dude, can I get a Lobot to go with my Lando?
Bro, if they give us a Lobot,
come on,
that would be insane.
With LEDs.
Yeah. Because they, like you said, like from that line, they've already released majority of the figures. We already actually got Emperor Palpatine. We got the Imperial Guards. We got both Luke from Endor and just the regular Jedi Luke. We got Leia and Wicket. We got you both. We got the Scout Troopers on speeder bike. We got those.
Yeah.
Know what I mean?
You know what we don't have?
What is that?
You know what I will pay through the nose to get? Die-cast metal.
What? Oh.
What? Leia.
Oh, Leia.
Slave Leia. Or, pardon me.
Slave Leia.
Hut Slayer Leia.
Hut Slayer.
My question to you guys, will we get a Hut Slayer Leia as part of their newly announced 6 scale Return of the Jedi license for its 40th anniversary?
Yes.
If they did that.
Over or under?
It would definitely have to be a new body, and it would have to be Feising. I'm going to say Oh man, that's tough. I'm gonna say, you know what? As much as I would love to see that figure,
I know.
I'm gonna probably say under. I'm gonna probably say under.
But you know
And
what's funny? That's the one figure they've never done.
they've
Sideshow
never
didn't
done
do
it.
it.
And that's the thing. I'll
Only
say under
Barbie did
because,
it.
yeah,
Barbie did
they
one.
they could do it, and I think it could be done if they take the risk, if they want to do it, especially to complete the line and give us all the layers. You have to do it. Like, you have to do something like that. So I don't know. I mean, because they've already released, of course, Bausch, we're going to get that, but I don't know. If they want to complete the line, you got to give us that layer.
I mean, look, they already fucked up Empire Strikes Back. Where's Bespin Han?
Yeah, no.
I mean, no re-release. They keep teasing. I've got the original DX Bespin Luke.
Yeah.
Where is it? It's
yeah. We'll
but
see.
Slave Leia. I mean, what else? Since they've already put out stuff, are we going to get? We'll probably get Admiral Akbar.
Yeah.
I would imagine
Yeah.
we'll get that.
9 Num. We could get 9 Num as well.
Yep.
Yeah. So that there's a few. You know what? They can
Mon
even
Mothma, bro. Mon Mothma.
They can even actually give us their own interpretation, their own version of Jabba the Hutt.
Well, I'm thinking that, yeah, but the Sideshow one, I have that. I have the first iteration of that. But yeah, I'm thinking about what are they going to, I mean, we've already got Orlando Skiffguard disguise was Sideshow.
Yep.
I can't see them doing that again.
They might, though. You never know. They could.
I mean, look, man, I'd love a 6-scale size Snoodles in the Rebo band. Doubt they'll do it, but no one's going to buy that stuff. I mean, they've already done everything. They
can give us a Vader with Sebastian's head sculpt. They could give us that.
But I don't think that's canon anymore. Man, they decanonized that.
They need to. If they would do that, they need to, bro. They need to.
But it's not it's not real anymore. I don't think they'll do it.
That's crazy if they don't. That's a missed opportunity if they don't, man.
All right. Well, anyway, I will let you guys go. You gentle beings, you kind souls, you beautiful people. Welcome to 2023.
Yes.
Yeah.
Happy New Year, everybody.
And I will say goodbye to my esteemed colleagues, but that doesn't mean I'm going to go away entirely right now, as people know. But Lael,
yes.
Thank you both for being here. I will see you next week.
This
is a great stream, a lot of fun. We'll have, I'm sure, something to talk about, some genre thing that people are mad about. But
yes.
And my love to LaToya Lael, and my love to your mom.
She's sitting right here. She is sitting right here.
Does she understand that you could be a starship captain in that tunic?
She's knocked out.
Oh, she's knocked out.
Aww.
She is knocked out.
Well,
she sat here the entire time.
Well,
she's
give her my best. Tell her I love the Cocoa Tulip. And all right, I will see you both.
Bye, everybody.
Later.
See you later, guys. See you later.
Well, kids, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, gentle beings, kind souls. It's just me now, and you know what that means? That means maybe an hour. I'm going to bring some of you ne'er-do-wells on this channel. What do you say? You up for it? If I send out a link, you want to come on this channel? I don't know. Actually, my back is killing me. So maybe I'll tell you what. Maybe not tonight. It's a new year. I'll hold off. But if you all know us, you love us, Dieter, Bastian, and I are going to be back. I'm sure I'm popping the mic. 11 o'clock tomorrow morning on Let's Get Physical Media, where I am giving away this bad boy, a 4K set, the box set 30 years, Sony Pictures Classics 30th Anniversary 4K Ultra HD. There's a lot of good stuff on this. A lot of good stuff in this box set. I will be giving this away, and you will be able to get it. It's not like Justin is still waiting for his African Kung Fu Nazis. I still have that right over there. You're going to get it. I'll bring it to you one day, but this can be yours. We got some Pedro Almodovar. You got some Tom Tykwer, Run Lola Run. I mean, there's a lot in this. You've got Schenectady, New York. There's a lot of great stuff in here. Orlando, City of Lost Children in 4K. Anyway, yeah. So join me tomorrow. And everyone else, I want to say thank you for joining us on Midnight Musings, episode number 36, the first time of this new year. Let me just make sure I've 200 Watt Studio. What is your favorite Fritz Lang Dr. Mabuse film? You know what? I have two steelbooks. I have two I love the Dr. Mabuse the Gambler. And is it Mabuse? I don't know. Propaganda did a song about Dr. Mabuse. I always said Mabuse, but maybe Dr. Mabuse the Gambler, probably. But I have two Eureka Steelbooks of those movies. Pod Racing Palpatine says, what am I looking forward to in 2023? Cocaine Bear. Binary Sunset Media says, Rob, use alternative factor is an inside joke, but I trust your understanding. Hey, I know. You and I look, you don't, I'm going to take that generoso figure if you're offering it to me, but you don't have, I want to say that's the most generous thing ever. I will take it. I will display it. I want it. But, yeah, I appreciate that. That's amazing. But other than that, I think I'm going to go to bed, and I'll be back at it in 11 hours with the great Dieter Bastian. So there you go. Wait, Al. Well, J.J. Abrams is going to direct Star Trek 4. Anyway, on that note, I want to thank Tom Jr. Jackson for being an incredible moderator, and I want to thank all of you for generously supporting the channel via super chats and tips, memberships as well. We had a great member call that was less than 5 hours. It was less than 4 hours today, so thank you for that. I want to thank Lael and Mmmm for being great. And, and on that note, remember, every person you meet has a story to tell that you have yet to hear. All you have to do is listen. And with that, I say to everyone, have a better night.